Tell him about the time we faced. All right. Well, as I remember. At Avenger headquarters. Because united, the Avengers are strong.
Welcome to the Marvel Evolution Show. Myself, Andy Stead.
And I'm Jarian Gibson.
And I'm Alex Stroud.
And it's just the three of us today. No special guests today, just the three of us. But that won't be for long. We've got another episode coming up in a few days' time where we've got a special guest, a returning guest. But it's just us three today. Alex, how are you?
I'm good. Had a good weekend. Ready to talk about this ton of news that we've got.
We've got a lot to get through.
Oh, it's a ton.
Well, obviously we missed last week, Jarian, because we had Sean in. So we've got a lot of news. But how are you, mate? All right?
Yeah, doing good. Still, burn the candle at both ends, but let's rock and roll.
Yeah, nice. Well, I'm celebrating. I'm celebrating with a beer on air today, just purely for the fact that the team I coach, my football team, soccer team, we won 5-0 today in a really heated environment, and it was a. I'm trying to find a nice word to say, but I can't find a nice word to say. But it was a heated environment, and the boys done really well. And then my team that I support, my professional team, also won 5-0 today as well. So it's a double celebration for me. So I'm going to celebrate with a beer on air.
Nice. Congrats.
So yeah, thanks.
Yeah, awesome.
Why not? Well, they've been struggling this season, my team. We've gone up a division.
Okay.
And we're playing good quality teams. And we played a team in the division below today. It was like a cup game where you play teams in different divisions. And this team that we played were top of the division below us. But we dispatched them, quite comfortably in the end, which was quite nice because it proved to my team that actually, they are in the right division. Because if we've beaten the team that's at the top of the division below us quite comfortably, that sort of says that actually we are in the right place. But my lads needed that, they needed that sort of confidence boost. So that was it. But all besides the point, back to Marvel stuff, I suppose. Let's be relevant. I'm nearly done with season 1 of Jessica Jones. So like my second watch of that. And I there's lots of stuff that I almost completely forgot about that show. I don't quite know why. I think that whole period of my life, there must have been other things happening that I just wasn't really focusing on the show. But there's certain elements of that show that I really, really enjoy. I really love in it, and it grows on you. Kristen Ritter's, I don't know what the word, like a performance, I guess, but just this kind of, you almost don't want to like her, but you do. But really, really good. And David Tennant is superb as a Purple Man.
Phenomenal. Yes. And honestly, I think that show's kind of like a sleeper. Like I think a lot of people don't realize how good that show actually is because like I've watched that show like 2 or 3 times and I never seem to watch like I think the ending season that they did because I don't really like the final season that much, but the first like part of that show is great. Like the build up, like everything, even the tie into like Luke Cage, I know that they did, and they ended up doing like the Defenders and everything and bringing it all together. But yeah, Jessica Jones, phenomenal show.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to just continuing on. I'm quite surprised by myself actually. I thought that it would be harder to watch this a second time, and I wouldn't be as committed. But I'm actually doing it. But it was a fantastic scene. Really liked the in season 1 where they're back at her house and they've got her elderly neighbor sitting at the table outside and they're having like a bit of lunch, and she says, "Oh, I knew something terrible would happen to her Jessica's family." And then Kilgrave goes, "How did you know that would happen? Did you really know that?" And she went, "No." And she said, "Why did you say that?" "Just to feel important." And it's that typical kind of like natter, isn't it? That sort of neighbors do, and they say things like that, and you don't think about it. And she says, "I said it just to feel important." He said, what a crappy thing to say, like that's not the sort of thing you would say to somebody who's lost their family. And you're absolutely right, but it happens all the time. And there was a point there where I haven't got to the end yet, and I do know what happened, but there's a point there where you actually kind of feel sorry for Kilgrave at a little point, when they see what's happened to him as a kid, and but he still holds that villainous air about him, doesn't he?
Yeah, I mean, he's kind of conceited, and he's got. I mean, like, one of my favorite scenes with him is when he's walking by that guy who's drinking the coffee, and he's like, "Hey, you can't take that." And he's like, "Throw that coffee in your face." And the guy just literally throws his own coffee in his face. But, like, I mean, like, he's not really a good person, so you really can't sympathize with him is the problem with
Yeah.
that show. So, like, I mean, he's awful. So,
She says that to him, doesn't she? She says something along the lines of, "So you're blaming your parents for being a shitty person."
mhm.
She says that's a terrible excuse, like, you know, and you know, she's right. It's almost like you're a grown adult now. You can make your own decisions. Like, you don't have to be an arse, you know.
Mhm.
But he chooses to be.
Yeah.
Anyway, so that's what I've been up to. I've read a little bit more of Devil's Reign, which again is I'm really enjoying it. Actually, I haven't read it. I haven't read it yet. I don't know what happens, and I'm loving it. So I'd still recommend Devil's Reign if anybody can get a hold of it and wants to some new reading material. That's very cool. Yeah, that's what I've been up to. Should we get stuck on with some news then, Joe? And I'll let you dictate the flow of today's session. Over to you, my friend.
All right, let's start off with She-Hulk. So Devin Lewis via TikTok shared that the final intro scene was played by a man. So when they did the whole retro Hulk scene at the very beginning of the finale, he says a lot of people still haven't realized that She-Hulk was played by a man. Yes, mother effers, that's me. So there you go. Tatiana Maslany says She-Hulk isn't serious about dating DD. Tatiana also shared her take on the relationship between Matt, aka Daredevil, and Jen, saying that the relationship isn't serious at all. She added, "I think Jen is half like trolling Matt. I think there's also something about the way Matt is with her, where it seems like he's just cool with who she is." So there's that. Marvel also considered bringing back Edward Norton for the finale, according to Cat Choreo. There was a lot of talk about the fact the last time they were together, a different actor was playing the Hulk, and Mark Ruffalo made quite a few jokes about that. And we did entertain the idea of swapping Mark out for Edward Norton, but that did not come to pass. That would have been interesting if they did that, kind of like a mind F if they did that. So interesting one there.
Yeah, he's I was that could have I think that could have had a place in sort of Jen's little bit at the end when
when she went into Disney Studios and Disney Plus.
and she could have almost changed it and she could have almost said something like, and how comes like Hulk's different now, and then like why don't we change that, and then when they go back he's there as Norton's Hulk, and that could have been quite fun.
But then everybody would be like, "So is Edward Norton now the Hulk?"
Yeah.
Like, you know what I'm saying? Like,
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, that's it. Or maybe Ed Norton's Hulk could have come in, and then she could have gone, "Hold on, who? We've got a new guy now. The new guy should be playing him."
There you go. Yeah.
That would have been better that way around. Yeah.
Jessica Gao originally had the leader in the script. In my original pitch, I did have the leader in there just as an option, as a suggestion, but I really can't remember why it was scrapped. I don't remember if it was organically taken out because we just came up with other stuff, or if we were told no. I honestly don't remember, but there was a thought about either bringing him back or doing some version of a new version of the leader or some relation to him. But I mean, surely this was 3 years ago and the show has evolved so much that I don't remember what actually happened. So that's interesting.
I'm not sure I believe that. I'm not. When I say I'm not sure I believe that, I'm not sure I believe that she doesn't know what happened. If somebody told her no, surely she remembers that. I mean, I remember being told no 3 years ago from my boss or something like that. Do you know what I mean? Like, boss, something quite big like that. You would remember that. I'm not denying that either way is untrue, but surely she remembers what happened.
Then she talked about the 70s homage. One day out of the clear blue, there was post-lockdowns. Everyone's just working from home. My fiance, Tuck Torrance, just walks into the room that I'm working in and just announces, "I think you should do an opening that's like a homage to the old 70s Incredible Hulk." That is all. And he just walked out of the room, and I thought, that's a great idea. And then it just snowballed from there. Then she went on to say, "I'm so tickled we actually got to do it. It looked fantastic. Our second unit director was also our stunt coordinator. Monique Ganderton directed that. And you could tell that Tatiana and Mark had so much fun in those 1970s clothes. In the scripts I wrote, Ruffalo is in a Bill Bixby wig. But what was great is Mark naturally has his beautiful curly hair, so we didn't need to put a wig on him. Like his hair naturally could support that wonderful 70s volume.
Yeah, he does look like a 70s guy, don't he? Actually, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was fun. That 70s thing. I like that idea that somebody's just walked into a room, and go, do this, and then walked
Yep.
up.
Yeah.
I love it. I love how he says it and he goes, "That is all," and
Yeah.
walks right out of the room.
As soon as you said that, it reminded me of a story. I'm going to digress just 2 seconds because this is hilarious, and this is to do with in my opinion, the funniest man who's ever lived, Leslie Nielsen. Just an absolute legend. So I was listening to the radio the other day, and there was a presenter on a radio program that I listened to over here, and he said he was in the States somewhere, and he was walking down the street with his family, and they were on holiday, and he looked over the other side of the road, and there's Leslie Nielsen standing outside the hotel, but by these revolving doors. And he said, like, this guy's a hero of mine. I've got to go over and speak to him. So he said he crossed over the road, and he said, Mr. Nielsen, he said, I just thought I'd come up and say, thank you so much for everything you've done for the entertainment industry. You've been a massive inspiration of mine. I absolutely love your work. It's such an honor to meet you. So Leslie Nielsen turns to him. Now, just think of Leslie Nielsen. He turns to him and he says, why, thank you very much. Then walks off, goes into the revolving doors, all the way around the revolving doors, comes and stands back next to the same guy and just looks down the road like that, waiting for a cab. Like, as if and you can see it, can't you? You can see him doing that exact thing. I mean,
Yeah.
even me just saying it, that's me telling you what somebody else's story of what Leslie Nielsen did, but you're seeing Leslie Nielsen do that. And man, he's just what an absolute pleasure to have seen that man's movies and be living in a time where he was entertaining people. I just think absolute treasure of a person, and I would have loved to have met him. And I just think he's one of the funniest people that's ever been around. But anyway, that what you said there, Alex, yeah, blah 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 blah. That is all.
It almost kind of reminds me like some of the way that Steve Carell does some of his stuff.
Yeah.
When he's like, okay, and he kind of takes off,
Yeah. It's just come in one liner and then leave.
Yep.
Brilliant. Yeah, love it. I love that. I love that sort of deadpan type comedy that, and those people, like you say, Steve Carell's got that actually, that kind of that timing, and it's not normal timing. It's not normal comedy timing. It's very, very rare. And I think, like I say, Leslie Nielsen is just such a funny. I just look at him and I just laugh. Just brilliant, absolutely brilliant. Anyway, digressed. Carry on, Jaron.
Stiltman almost appeared, according to writer Zeb Wells. Yes, for sure. We went through a lot of them. I think Stiltman was probably thrown in there at one point. Saracen, he started off as someone else we couldn't get for some reason. I think there's a character at Marvel called the Matador, and we couldn't use him. He laughs, but then they end up getting the Matador. They end up getting Saracen, so they just didn't get Stiltman. So last bit of She-Hulk news. Assembled the making of She-Hulk will release November 3rd on Disney+. So
that'd be interesting to see, actually, especially like with you said, the fact that it was a guy that played She-Hulk, and because didn't she had it wasn't even a stunt double, was it? It was a body double, and she was a big tall,
a very tall woman. Yep.
Yeah. So that'd be interesting to see that, actually.
Some Nova news. According to My Cosmic Circus, Nova will be a Disney Plus special similar to Werewolf by Night. A single feature around 45 to 60 minutes. Deadline also originally reported that it was likely Richard Rider being introduced, but rumors persist that Samuel Alexander will be coming soon as well. So it almost could be like Alex said in the past, where Richard Rider could be more of the cosmic side and Samuel Alexander could be more of the street level side.
And have both of them running concurrently.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
Interesting.
Also, too, Marvel movie releases 16 movies over the next 4 years. If you think about it. Of what we know so far.
That's a lot of movies.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
That's a lot of movies, isn't it?
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
That's average 4 a year.
Yep.
Yeah.
Plus Disney Plus shows.
Yeah.
So-
And the special presentations. So,
Yep.
Wow.
Prey actress Amber Midthunder is more than ready to join the Marvel Cinematic Universe. She says, I am definitely a big MCU fan. I've always loved the X-Men movies, all the Avengers movies. I've always been a big fan of the MCU. We'll talk about who I could play later. And honestly, The first person that came to mind, and Alex might like this, is Demon Rider Kushala, the Native American Ghost Rider in Sorcerer Supreme at one point, because she was a Ghost Rider way before, back in the past. So she's the first one that came to mind when she said that she wanted to be in the MCU. Like, whether it's multiverse based or flashbacks, or even like if they do, even if they did something like the Moon Knight annual, where Kane goes back and has to fight like the different avatars of Moon Knight, she could be one of those avatars too, as well, from the past.
That'd be cool.
So yeah,
I honestly hope that we see multiple people as Ghost Riders, because, like, Ghost Rider is also it's kind of like a mantle in a way. Like, tons of people have been a Ghost Rider, so it doesn't have to be just one person being a Ghost Rider in the MCU.
I mean, at one point we could have them all team up, and do like some event happens, a special presentation for Ghost Rider perhaps, and they all have to team up to take down somebody. Who knows?
I mean, they've had an event like that where I want to say Johnny Blaze and Danny Ketch fought like Zadkiel or whatever, the Angel, and they brought in a bunch of different Ghost Riders. So
yep. Just as a side conversation, I guess. Like you said, Alex, about Ghost Rider being a mantle rather than the name of one particular person. As is not necessarily Moon Knight, but being the avatar, or is Moon Knight a mantle? That was just his name. That was just his name, wasn't it?
No, it's more of a mantle.
It's like
yeah,
it's like a mantle, but he's also the avatar of Khonshu.
Yep.
So
that's it. The avatar of Khonshu was the mantle, wasn't it? Or the thing that changes over time. Moon Knight was just Mark Spector. Well, all of those people. Yeah, am I right in thinking that or not? Was there other Moon Knights?
Yeah, I mean, in that Kang series that we were just talking about recently, you find out Ravonna was a Moon Knight, in the past, and there's been other Moon Knights.
Right, yeah, so it is a mantle.
Right. Okay. Cool. Yeah. Yes. Yeah, that's right. I couldn't quite remember whether we're talking. Do you know what I mean? Whether it was the avatar of Khonshu was the Moon Knight, or whether Moon Knight was just Mark Spector's name, and he, like you just said, he was the avatar of Moon Knight. Anyway, my point being, that was not my point. My point was, Ghost Rider's mantle. Let's say Moon Knight's a mantle. Sorcerer Supreme is a mantle. So these kind of mystical, kind of spiritual entities, and these people, they seem to be mantles like over the ages, don't they? So they're the ones that are kind of interchangeable. Is there any that seems to be a pattern there with those types of characters? That's all that I was saying. That's all that I was just going to try and bring up, that the fact that that arena, that spiritual mystical arena, tends to have more mantles than the other arenas, doesn't it? Kind of.
I need to double check too, because I think Blade's starting to do that too, because I think he passed it down to his daughter at one point. I gotta double check on the Blade side though. I
guess that's because it spans over such a long period of time, doesn't it? Maybe.
Yep.
And it's not just a short period of time. It's over hundreds of years or thousands, maybe. So yeah, they live for a long time. So there's got to be multiples.
I mean, I think they've got that, like, what is it, like Avengers 1 million or whatever? It's like that Avengers comic that's like 1 million years ago, and it's got like the Ghost Rider riding a woolly mammoth, and like Odin on Earth, I think, and like several other different people that are supposed to be like the Avengers kind of like coming together. I think they have like a Sorcerer Supreme even on the team that was like the Sorcerer Supreme then. So it's kind of like, kind of that idea, I guess. Maybe.
Yeah. I think I've seen, now you said it, as you talking, I was like, hold on, I've seen this. I don't think I've read it, but I do know what you mean. Yeah. Yeah. It's just an observation. That was all. Carry on, Jaron.
Agatha, Coven of Chaos. So a lot of news floating around about this, but it does sound like Billy and Tommy will be returning. The rumor is it could possibly introduce or / set up Tommy and Wiccan, Tommy / Wiccan, and Teddy Altman / Hulkling, according to some casting calls. So something to keep an eye on to see if they're actually gonna, set that up in that show. Go ahead.
Was one of the parts of your news going to be how they might adapt the Children's Crusades?
Yes.
Carry on then.
Okay. It does begin filming in a month, so sometime in November / December it will start filming. Catherine Hahn went to say, "It's nothing like I've ever dreamed of." Was to be asked to play a centuries-old witch that no one ever heard of, and then all of a sudden cut a spin-off show, which is just like, what? So it's very, very exciting. We're in the middle of getting the Coven ready, and it's going to be very delicious. I'm very excited for people to see that. We start shooting in about a month. And honestly, if you read comics, especially Fantastic Four, you know who Agatha is because she was like their nanny. And so she's been there in the comics. But I guess if you're comic reader, you probably don't know who she is. But yeah, interesting there. According to her Writers Guild profile, WandaVision staff writer Megan McDonnell will be returning for Agatha Coven of Chaos. So it does sound like they have some continuity between WandaVision and between Agatha Coven of Chaos. The big rumor, though, is Agatha Coven of Chaos will adapt a major Scarlet Witch comic event, Young Avengers: The Children's Crusade, which is possibly could mean that, we definitely know that Wanda is still out there. I know Alex said that she, Chithon could be manipulating her at this point. She could have lost her memory. I definitely think that Billy will be looking for her. I'm sorry, Tommy will be looking for her as part of the series, and maybe even Agatha as well.
Yeah, I heard this, and two things come to mind. Firstly, if that is true, we were right. Basically, by saying that Wanda was still alive and Doom's got her and she's got amnesia. That's exactly that story, isn't it?
Yep.
It's a cool story as well, actually. If anybody listening hasn't read it, they should. It's good sort of team up kind of story. Young Avengers, old Avengers, they're all there. I don't think they're called the old Avengers. They're just the Avengers. But what the other point I was trying to make was, I'm struggling to see how they can give that story enough time within an Agatha titled project and it still be about Agatha. Like, that's a big story to try and adapt. Like, it can't just be a throwaway side story. That's huge.
I think it could be the main story, and either Agatha is the surrogate for Doom or Chithon is part of that too. So, and I'm going to lean towards, I think we'll see Chithon possibly hinted at it, but I think Agatha definitely will be the surrogate for Doom in this story. Because think about how WandaVision ended, right? She was manipulating Wanda, Agatha was the whole time manipulating the whole scenario in Westview. And then, at the end, she defeats Agatha, takes Agatha's memory away, and kind of makes her just a regular old housewife in Westview. So somehow I could see Agatha breaking free and Agatha saying, okay, it's kind of reversed now. Scarlet Witch has lost her memory. I'm going to manipulate and use her and probably go down that route. And Tommy's got to help kind of bring her back to reality.
I think it would be really cool if they did something like Chithon was trapped in Mount Wundagore, and then he was released when it was destroyed. And then he comes out into the world and he goes and finds Agatha and reverses the chaos magic on Agatha that's got her under that trance, brings back the children that were created by chaos magic, and then says, hey, Wanda, you could basically be my avatar you can be like my avatar for chaos magic. I just have to possess you, you can have your children back though. And then they kind of play that if they choose to do so,
I like how you say that Chithon's the one that frees Agatha. I like that angle. I can definitely see that happening.
Mm-hmm. And it'd be like one of those things that'd be like an accident of his release because nobody really knew that he was trapped in Mount Wundagore. And I mean, it would kind of make sense too, because it's like he is kind of where chaos magic comes from. So like for the Scarlet Witch to have her throne where he's kind of trapped, it would be kind of like, her destroying it is kind of like the last seal on his release almost,
Unless it is even more simple than that. I like that idea because I like the fact that Chithon is in control. However, it could be really simple, and the fact that Wanda gets squashed and the spell breaks that she's got on Agatha. Agatha goes to find her and and then takes control.
Yeah.
But also too, you got to figure out too, who was Agatha in cahoots with? We never found out. Yeah, we never found out during WandaVision who she was in cahoots with, right?
And Chithon has links to the Darkhold too, so it wouldn't be surprising if she had made contact with Chithon or had some she was well aware of chaos magic, and it seemed like she had in-depth knowledge beyond what was probably just in the Darkhold itself, talking about the Scarlet Witch. So
yeah, sure, yeah. Maybe he's the player in the background behind her. No, to be fair, going back to my opening comment on this one about how they would make that work, I guess, as you said, Joe, if they made Agatha the surrogate for Doom, then it would totally work. There's me sitting there thinking, no, it's going to be Doom. But then I think that was because I was then thinking beyond that and thinking that Doom might be using Wanda as a surrogate for Molecule Man in the Secret Wars story, which he may still do. I don't know.
Speaking of Molecule Man, couldn't you see Adam Driver as that role? I think I have that in my notes here for Fantastic Four. I guess we'll say that for Fantastic Four cover news. Anyways, staying on track. Okay. Anything else on Agatha, Covenant of Chaos? New World Order and Thunderbolts. Harrison Ford is now confirmed to play General Ross in the MCU and will be appearing in Captain America, New World Order, and Thunderbolts. So, and it sounds like we're going to get both General Ross and Red Hulk as well. And I almost wonder with Harrison Ford's age, and they're saying that with rumors about Indiana Jones' newest movie about, getting through that filming, I wonder if this is going to be like a 2-movie appearance by him, and then the Red Hulk mantle gets passed on to someone like, they bring back Betty, Titania is still out there. Even though they changed up the Todd thing in the end of She-Hulk, that blood is still out there, right? Her blood is still out there, so maybe they could write that into where maybe the government got a hold of it. They're working on Super Soldier Serum again. That's how we get Red Hulk, and then maybe that's how we get the She-Hulk passed down to later on.
The government's been working on Super Soldier Serum since the moment they made Super Soldier Serum.
I mean,
there's always a different version.
Man Thing, Taskmaster, it all goes on. They try to replicate that many times. So, yeah.
I quite, again, like I said, I've been reading Devil's Reign, and I know Thunderbolts comes out, is it just before or just after Born Again? I'm not sure. Anyway, it's very close to that time. I'm still liking the idea that Kingpin is actually the one who's going to be in control of the Thunderbolts, and they're going to be his kind of, not lackeys, but they're going to be his
muscle.
That would be interesting.
Yeah, him as the mayor.
Trust the Bro 2.0.
Right. Yeah. Just upgraded. But yeah, him as mayor or even president. Him running for president and saying, "Look, this is part of my campaign that I've got these soldiers, these Thunderbolts, as part of my, strategy. They're going to clean up the streets or whatever, keep us safe. With now the Avengers gone or whatever." Or after recovering from this Hulk problem that we may have seen in New World Order, maybe Kingpin is the New World Order.
Yeah. It also makes you think too, who is going to be that surrogate for Osborn in the MCU? We know that Sam Rockwell, Justin Hammer is still out there. He could be the surrogate for it as well. So it'll be interesting to see how they do things, because right now they really don't have a tech guy, and Justin Hammer fits that role very well. So, the production company is Change Up Productions with working title of Rochelle. Production to start mid to late March 2023 in Atlanta.
Okay, cool.
Nice little Seinfeld reference there.
Yep, just like in Spider-Man. So, Daredevil news. Charlie Cox had a lot of things in here we'll go through. The first one is he discusses what to expect in Born Again. It's mad. I have no idea. Your guess is as good as mine. Just in terms of shooting, physically, it's going to be a real slog, and that will be a challenge in and of itself, which I'm excited about. It's such a bold move. The character being a lawyer lends quite well to that. There's a lot of story you can tell just outside of the superhero element.
So they haven't written anything yet, basically.
Yep. It's probably, yep. On Netflix canon, is it canon?
Here we go.
It's an absolute delight to work with everyone on all those Netflix shows. They're a beaten heart of all those shows. I would be honored and thrilled to work with any of them again. I would hate to single anyone out and would hate to speculate because I just don't know what the plan is going forward. That's way above my pay grade. There are so many great stories to tell. There are stories to tell again that wouldn't be inconsistent with what they do in the comic book universe. Often a writer and a new writer and an artist will take over a book and they will start from the beginning. So maybe we'll be doing that. But I generally don't know. I'm just thrilled I've been invited to the party. So, but then he further on. Go ahead.
No,
You say something?
all I was going to say is, as I said at the top of the show, I've been rewatching Jessica Jones. There's so many references to the well, it's not so many. That's an exaggeration, but there's plenty of references to the Avengers and to the 2012 the first Avengers movie. But they're all sort of really rubbish references. Like they don't say Captain America, they don't say Hulk, they don't say, they just go the flag waver and the big green guy
And the guy with the hammer.
the
Yeah.
guy with the hammer and the guy in the suit or whatever. They don't say anything. It's all very vague kind of references, and then there's like a kid in Captain America costume who runs past, and they're such vague. They're there, the references are there, but they're all very just sort of throwaway. And like if you weren't paying attention, like they don't go, oh, and Steve Rogers, there's none of that. So
He also addressed the difference between Netflix and Disney Plus version of Daredevil. We've never really had an opportunity to explore the levity that there is in the comics. Obviously, Daredevil at its core works better as a show that's geared toward a more mature audience. But even life that is very serious has comedic moments in it. I felt like this was a really good opportunity to put Daredevil in a world where tonally there's a lot more fun to be had. It's a lot more lighthearted, tongue-in-cheek. It was really great experiment, both for me and for the character, to see how he fit into that world. It was just a question of freeing up a little bit and allowing myself as an actor to go toe-to-toe with Tatiana and make sure that Daredevil didn't become the butt of the joke, because he's very overly serious, to make sure he had his charisma, charm, and wits. Whether that will play into what we do next year with Daredevil Born Again, I don't know, but it was a really fun experiment. So, sounds like, Born Again, there you go.
I find it really, I was just gonna say, I find it really interesting that out of all the Disney Plus shows, that one has 18 episodes. Like that's, I mean, it's awesome. Like, I'm not complaining, but just a lot of other shows could have definitely had a few more episodes in my mind.
Yeah, I almost wonder if it's going to be 18 episodes, but 6 episodes in 3 parts. Because that would be a lot to have 18 episodes. Like, they could do part 1. Like, say, for example, you mentioned is Thunderbolts Daredevil, who comes out first. They could do part 1 of Daredevil Born Again, and then go to Thunderbolts. Do part 2, then into another movie. Do part 3, and then to another movie. So it's almost like it's wrapped around a couple different events in the movie side of the MCU.
Yeah, that'd be great. That'd be really good. I love that idea. I love the idea that they're starting to just not be generic with the way that they produce projects. Like, why? That they've got all the freedom in the world. You can do whatever you want, and we'd lap that up as well. We've lapped up the special presentation thing, this 45, 50-minute thing. Well, no, there's only been one, but so far. But I really like that. I think that would be a really good idea. Like, each piece of the show feeds into something else. Yeah, sorry, Alex, go on. You was going to say something.
I was just gonna say, it'd be almost like mini seasons, almost, in a way, of a show. Like it dedicating like 18 episodes to 3 different storylines in that way, and telling 3 different stories, but it all being with the same character and happening right after one another. Because he's gonna pop up everywhere. I mean, we already know that. So.
Absolutely. And think about comics as well. Think about comics. There's a run of comics so the individuals run as six issues, and then generally speaking, well, not generally speaking, but a lot of the time that story will feed into a larger crossover story, or the crossover story affects that 6 issues. So maybe they're going to try and play with that kind of thing a little bit. They're going to kind of go, right, this is Daredevil's issues 1 to 6, but it's kind of, they're in the background. There's New World Order, and then issue 7 to, someone do the maths. 12. Thank
12.
you. I'm rubbish at maths. 7 to 12. But in the background, there's Thunderbolts, and then issues 12 to 18. There's
13 to 18.
Thanks. So shut up. Yeah, it's 13 to 18. There's something else in the background. So yeah, I like that idea. I mean, that's really interesting. And like I said, I think they can be creative with the way that they that they do things. Yeah, they can be creative with the way that they produce these shows.
I just can't see 18 episodes straight unless they do like 2 a week, maybe.
And
So
how long are they going to be as well?
exactly. Let me see. He also talked about more CGI wanted. I guess I would say this. Hopefully, on the Disney Plus show Born Again, we'll be able to use, and I hope that we do it sparingly. I believe it should be used sparingly, but hopefully, we'll be able to use a tiny bit more CGI in the action sequences just to emphasize his gymnastic abilities that have been basically impossible to do. I've learned these questions are a little tricky because the problem with them that if I start detailing things I'd like to do, then very quickly it becomes a news story. It potentially gets in the minds of not only fans, but also creators and writers. I really want to be careful not to muddy those waters because if it turns out to be a good idea, it can be a shame because it robs the fans of those moments of discovery. So forgive me for being a little vague in this area. So that was interesting.
We saw a little bit of that in She-Hulk, didn't we?
Yep.
Those gymnastic abilities, and you know, if you looked at his, I think I brought it up actually, didn't I, in the finale episode, and I said actually, if you looked at the fight that he had with She-Hulk, there was a lot of that. There was a lot of CGI Daredevil, and then if you looked at the fight that they had when he went inside the lily pad, it was that raw Daredevil, you know, real fight. Like, you know, that's a human being. It might have even been Charlie Cox doing his own stunts, you know, but it was very real. There was a distinct difference, and I hope they balance it correctly.
Yeah, I mean, there's one scene where he's in the lily pad where he's literally just like punching somebody, and he's literally like having a conversation while he's doing it. You know what I'm saying? Like he's got him like in a headlock or something. You're just like, wow. Like, and I think that's a lot more fluid. I think the CGI, like you were speaking about, like it was good, but like it was done just for him to flip all around and do all kinds of little stuff. Like, yeah, I mean,
I think as always, the CGI should supplement the real stuff, the real stunts, the real fighting.
Yes.
Not be the main element of the real fighting, you know?
You just strategically.
Yes.
Yeah. He also had high praise for Vincent D'Onofrio. He's obviously a lovely guy, but there's more than that. He's just such an extraordinary performer. He's such a great actor. To be able to work opposite him and show up for a day of filming and see what he brings to the scene, which is always so much richer and more nuanced and more interesting than you could ever have imagined in your mind. I probably learned more from him about acting than I've ever from anyone else I've worked with. I think he's made me a much better actor. Hopefully I can learn more as we continue working together. So
he is excellent. And again, I know I keep banging on about the fact that I've rewatching that Daredevil series, but he is so good. He's so good. Yeah, I think he's got that, and it's not even the fact that he's playing a big guy. That's not what I mean. But he's got gravitas to his performance. You know when someone comes on screen and you're like, yeah, this guy's he's got my attention.
Yep.
I think another thing about him too is when somebody like messes up in the show and they have to go to him and deal with that, you know something bad's gonna come out of it. So you're like sitting there anticipating like, oh god, Kingpin's gonna like beat this dude half to death, you know? So like I mean, but
there's that I can't even remember what happens now, but one of his guys says something to him. I can't remember what he says, and he literally beats him half to death, and Waylon kind of goes, you maybe shouldn't be beating your men half to death at the moment. He sort of dusts down his suit and stuff.
And speaking of Andy's favorite show that he watched before he watched some of the other seasons of the Netflix shows, he also endorses Jessica Henwick for MC Return as Iron Fist. She's amazing. Yeah, she's amazing. She's amazing. Look, I agree with you wholeheartedly. I could also say that about a number of people that I worked with, not only on Daredevil, but also on other shows we did there. So I don't know what they're thinking, but I would absolutely put in a good word. And you're 100% right about that. Jessica is awesome. And I did get a lovely text from her the other day saying that she read the news and was thrilled for me, which I would love to see her back. Like, if they don't go down the path, like, I don't think I want to see Danny Rand again right now in the MCU. Like, if they didn't do like the new Iron Fist Lin Lu, definitely let Jessica Henwick, take the mantle up like Colleen Wig, like she did like towards the end of the series. of Iron Fist.
I'd quite like to see Danny Rand appear alongside Peter Parker in a sort of college university type relationship. Have that kind of wasn't there the Amazing Spider-Man, the cartoon, where there was Iron Fist, Spider-Man, White Tiger.
Yep.
Mhm.
In the cartoon, they were in high school too, weren't they? At one point.
Yeah, they were.
Yeah.
Nova, Luke Cage.
Yep.
All
Yeah,
them.
so
Yeah.
Yeah.
and there you go. There's that Sam. There's the
Sam
Sam
Alexander.
Alexander.
Yeah,
Yep.
that's it. Yeah, you could go and there's almost like a group of young heroes, a little bit in a way like they do that in Invincible, don't they? Where they're sort of younger at college or school, and you could do something like that. There could be a little team and Peter Parker, he's kind of, or a Spider-Man, I guess, because everyone knows who Spider-Man is. They just don't know he's Peter Parker, don't they? But he's kind of like the experienced head, and he's kind of trying to help these other young, heroes find their place in the world.
Mhm.
If they don't bring her back as Iron Fist, could you see her taking the White Tiger role?
Yeah.
Interesting. Yeah,
Yeah.
potentially. Yeah.
Moving on to Wonder Man. Working title is Callback. Iconic Productions LLC is the production company. Simon Williams Wonder Man casting. Yahya Abdul Mateen II in talks to play Marvel's Wonder Man. If you don't know who he is, he played the Morpheus like AI piece in Matrix Resurrections. He also played Mantis in Aquaman.
Wasn't he Dr. Manhattan in the Watchmen show?
Yes, in the TV show, he was he
Yeah.
was that as well. So good call.
Yeah.
I never watched that. Was that any good?
I really liked it.
did
I've
too.
always been kind of like a big Watchmen fan for whatever reason. But because it kind of is his own little weird little universe. But yeah, I mean, like I thought he did a really good job in the show, as that character. So
I read the graphic novel and I watched the movie, but I never saw the show. Yeah, I might have to give it a go.
the movie's awesome. It's very graphic,
Yeah.
but
Lots of
it's awesome.
sausage.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Well, interesting though, if they do cast him as Wonder Man, and if the rumor is true that Evan Peters is possibly the Grim Reaper, it'd be interesting to see how they kind of do that, because they're actually brothers. So
Okay. Yeah. Right. Okay. Yeah.
yeah,
That Matrix Resurrections actually was a huge letdown. I don't know if anybody's seen that. It was, yeah. He needs redemption after that, I think, because that was a huge letdown from my book.
Mm-hmm.
some Ironheart news. Sacha Baron Cohen confirmed as Mephisto.
It's confirmed.
Yes, Deadline has similarly confirmed that Cohen has joined the MCU and that he is in fact playing Mephisto in Ironheart. The outlet also suggests Cohen will appear in other titles within the MCU. The outlet goes on to speculate that Cohen's Mephisto could appear in a WandaVision spinoff, or in the WandaVision spinoff, Agatha Coven of Chaos, although that is not confirmed. Deadline also revealed the actor would appear in Ironheart, likely showing up in episodes 5 and 6, with rumors of CGI scans of the actor taking place as well as reported in-person scenes.
I'm smiling because all I can think of is some sort of weird cross between Devil from South Park and Ali G. That's it. That's all I can say. I mean, I know Sacha Baron Cohen's done a lot more stuff than that, and he's a supremely intelligent and fantastic artist. But that's what I've got in my head. This kind of
it's going to be the devil, like, sign your name on the piece of paper right now. Like,
I just keep that Borat scene. He's like, we go to America, we go to the MCU, or just him taunting like the Red Hood and other people, like he's taunting Ricky Bobby, in Talladega Nights. He has done so much stuff. He played some serious roles. Like he was in like the Chicago 7, wasn't he? I think. Wasn't he in that? And he's been in other roles too as well. So he has some range. Interesting to see his portrayal of Mephisto in this. And I wonder if he's going to be in Agatha Coven of Chaos, if that kind of signals no Chthon, but Mephisto instead, and Mephisto doing the manipulation.
Yeah, you know what I'd like to see? Just a really not what I'd like to see, but what I think he could do is a really flamboyant but not camp. That's not. I don't. It can't be camp, but it could be really flamboyant. And I know this is going to sound stupid, but a character that I've always felt could be, or is a really flamboyant character, is Null. Null always seems like he's this big sort of flamboyant sort of person, but really evil as well at the same time. Like I might be getting the wrong vibes there, but that's
No,
kind of,
I agree. I get it. I see
you
it.
see what I mean?
Yeah.
That kind, yeah. I don't know what it is about Null, but he has that kind of. I felt that, and I'm kind of thinking maybe Mephisto on those same sort of evil, flamboyant type lines, like almost like
that cockiness type of
yeah,
yeah.
yeah. Anyway,
I-
Alex, you was going to say something.
I was just gonna say, I don't know if you've probably ever seen the show, either of you, but when I was a kid, I watched this show called Powerpuff Girls.
Yes.
with my cousins. Yeah. And there's this one villain in there named Him, and I remember being terrified of him. And him was like this like devil being with like crab claws, and this dude was really weird. And this dude would do anything from like block out the sun, and then he would like a swirl of clouds would happen, and his face would appear, and he'd be over the town and stuff. Or he would be like taking a bath and get mad, and the tub would erupt with lava and stuff like that. And he was just like a troll, but he was like supposed to be like a devil kind of like type character. That's how I see him playing this character. It's like everything's gonna be like really comedic and a joke, and then all of a sudden it's just gonna be like he's angry and he's mad for no reason, and you know,
yeah. That's. I think we're on the same page, kind of, and we've just got slightly different references, but I think we're on the same page. Yeah.
yeah.
It almost makes you wonder too if that's who Madison interacted with during She-Hulk, the whole goat and the deal she made.
What do you know? What that kind of fits what we've been saying,
Yep.
doesn't it? And he's almost like, well, have this heart then. Do you know what I mean? And it's yeah, that kind of fits. Yeah, yeah. I mean, I hope it could be funny, but it's not just funny.
Yep.
It can be funny, but it has to be something else as well. It has to be that really sinister, almost like a scary clown. You know, where like a clown you can
like it.
Yeah, I guess so. Yeah.
Humor needs to be like a side piece to this, not the central piece of Mephisto.
Yep.
Like humor needs to be one of those things where it's almost like cheesy with the way he acts, but there's like nefarious intentions behind everything that he does.
But yeah, and it's funny because he's bored and he's making it funny because he's like bored because he's lived forever and he's seen everything and he just can do it, so he does do it, and it is funny to him almost. Yeah.
Paul Calderon and Cree Summer have joined the cast as well for Ironheart. So more casting stuff there. Wakanda Forever news. A lot of news here from Wakanda Forever because the premiere was last week. But there is going to be the legends. So King T'Challa, Princess Shuri, in Okoye Dora Milaje coming November 4th with 3 episodes. So it looks like they're all going to get episodes. So Princess Shuri, King T'Challa, and the Okoye Dora Milaje is going to get an episode.
I bet that T'Challa one is going to be amazing. I've watched some of them. Well, I've watched all of them, obviously, but some of the ones like Hawkeye's one is brilliant. It's just it's quite emotional watching it, and I can imagine that T'Challa's one will be just superb. I'm looking forward to watching that. And stupid, isn't it? You're looking forward to watching highlights of them being in the MCU, but I tell you what, I bet it would be fantastic.
I'm looking forward to the Dora Milaje one too, because I wonder if we're going to get any more of their training type stuff. But also too, since Michaela Coel is in Wakanda Forever and she's playing the role of I can't remember what role she's playing, but someone who's been known to train Dora Milaje as well. So I wonder if they're going to tie her into any of this and show anything like that of how they train and that kind of angle.
Is Ayo back in Wakanda Forever?
I think so.
Yeah, cool.
So,
I was looking at something the other day, and there was like she's been in like 5 projects already. It's incredible.
I'm just coming to the chat real quick. We have a new person saying hello.
Yeah.
Saying hi back.
Is that Master Flames?
Yes.
Yo, how you doing, man?
Lupita Nyong'o on why she's glad they didn't recast T'Challa. That's the death of the Black Panther. That's the whole point. It's laying to rest T'Challa, allowing for real life to inform the story of the movies. I know that there are all sorts of reasons why people want him to be recast, but I don't have the patience. I don't have the presence of mind, and I don't have the objectivity to argue with that. I don't. I'm very biased. So she went on to say that Ryan wrote something that so honored the truth of what every one of us was feeling. Those of us who knew Chadwick, he created something that could honor that and carry the story forward. By the end, I was weeping. So, Tana Huerta on differences between Namor and Aquaman. And I keep seeing people talking about he doesn't look Asian. It's not Atlantis, blah, blah, blah. And it's like, Jason Momoa has already done Atlantis. They've already got Aquaman. They had to do something different, which I think it. By the end of these quotes from, I'm going to read here, and from him about certain stuff, you'll see why. But the first thing was, yeah, the principal aspects of the character are there, but of course the script demands I act differently and create a Namor who is more angered. But at the same time, he's also sensitive. He has this philosophy that the king is not a ruler. The king is the first servant of the people. He has to serve his people. He has to protect his people. This aspect is new for the character. Namor is very different from Aquaman. Jason Momoa is a fantastic actor, and he's great at making that character. These two characters are so different. The mythology is different. The story is totally different. Their motivations are the opposite. I mean, it's not to be compared with different actors, but I think that this time people are going to find that we are speaking about different things, which honestly, they couldn't be more different to see in what I've seen so far. Because, Jason Momoa's Aquaman comes off like a biker boy at times, where Tana Huerta's Namor is completely different from that.
Yeah, he seems very. I mean, from what I've seen in the clips and trailers, he seems quite regal.
Yep.
And actually, exactly like you said, I think that sums it up. He's a servant. He's the first servant of the people, and not a ruler.
I mean, Aquaman's more of kind of like an outcast in his movies. I mean, he's kind of like the illegitimate son of Atlantis. I mean, not really wanted, kind of forgotten about, So, I mean, I think Namor was half human and as well, wasn't he? In comics. So, like, I don't know. I can kind of see where people will be definitely making some comparisons, but they're definitely not the same.
Yep.
They're definitely not the same.
He also discussed if Namor is a villain or not. He went to say, this is a guy who protects his people, his culture, every meaningful thing in his kingdom. From my perspective, everyone around the world can identify with this. So I don't know if he's a villain or just a guy trying whatever the cost is to protect. He went on to talk about the Mayan culture influence. He said it's important for the people to see themselves in the movies in this way. It was made with a lot of respect for the Mesoamerican culture, especially the Mayan culture. It's the root of almost everybody in Latin America. We have indigenous roots, we have black roots, and a few white roots. But it's fantastic to be here and represent this kind of movie. Yeah. So, Black Panther Wakanda Forever will be rated PG-13 due to sequences of strong violence, action, and some language. The premiere feedback has been very good. There is one mid-credit scene according to viewers. Here's one right here. Black Panther is fantastic. Coogler delivers a soulful, wondrous sequel that packs an emotional punch and effectively explores relevant world themes. A beautiful tribute to Boseman's legacy. Letitia and Tenoch are great, and the mid-credit scene is really moving. So I hope my prediction was right for how they're going to do things. Producer Nate Moore, who's the one that came out and said they're not going to recast T'Challa before the movie filmed. He talked about how Iron Man impacts Ironheart. It was really exciting, and you sort of put your finger on it. It is both a nod to Tony Stark, but also its own thing. Riri Williams, I think, probably steps less directly in Tony's footsteps than she does in the comics. But there's certainly an admiration for all the stuff he built. And even as we're crafting shots and sequences, thinking about what you've seen in other Iron Man movies and sort of doing our riff on it was really fun. The notion was, and Ryan Coogler is such a grounded filmmaker, if someone was actually trying to build an Iron Man suit but didn't have Iron Man resources, where would she go? So it is a little bit more ad hoc, and also love the idea that, Riri used to build cars with her dad. So it's sort of kind of Detroit Motor City feel to it. It's not as sleek and as clean as Tony's suit. Even the trails of the suit are more gas powered. Like you get the feeling it's like a muscle car as a suit. We thought that was interesting and also contrasts really well with Dominique Thorne's size, who plays Riri. because she's such a small person, but such a powerful personality that the suit is kind of a big and clunkier than Iron Man's than Tony's suit, because that's how she would love to have built it. So
Yeah, I
there you
like
go.
all of that.
That's cool. I like the muscle car comparison. That's
Yeah,
really
from
neat.
the chat
Yeah.
here, I can't wait. I'm so excited. So there's a good one there from the chat. I'm looking forward to it. But there's some lit down stuff coming here. You ready for it?
Go on. Yeah, go on.
On Doom, Dr. Doom was never set to appear, despite some rumors claiming he'd show up, according to the producer Nate Moore. It wasn't, to be quite honest, although I get why. He's such a great character, and the world of Latveria is so fantastic, and Ryan is a fan. But once we decided Namor was the antagonist, that always was going to be the focus. So, unless he's he's doing some misdirection here, and it's the mid credits. But I still think if it's one mid credit scene, I think it's my prediction I talked about. That we'll discuss on the preview show.
Yeah, and not
Mhm.
not if they've said that the mid credit scene is emotional. I can't imagine a scene with Doom being emotional. It's probably something. It's probably it. Yeah, I don't know. I doubt that would be Doom if it's emotional.
Unless it just makes you angry. I mean,
Yeah.
unless that's the
No,
the
yeah,
emotion
that's
of-
true. That's not emotion. Yeah,
yeah.
True.
So
Hold on. Okay, sorry. Getting buzzed. Victoria Alonso on the meaning of Namor's name. It seems the meaning of Namor's name is short for El Niño Sin Amor, which means the boy who grew up without love.
mhm.
So, Kevin Feige also discussed on wanting Namor in the MCU for a while. Forever, it's been on our list. I remember 18 years ago putting together a list. I think we even commissioned a script 18 years ago. And the timing was never right. The idea was never right. Ryan Coogler on the first movie started pitching wars between kingdoms. And if you actually add a culture specifically to specific city to Namor, and that's certainly what he has done in this movie. It's not Atlantis, it's Talokan.
Mhm.
He also went on to say, I also don't want to talk too much about Phase 5, because this is on more Namor coming to the MCU. I also don't want to talk too much more about Phase 5 and even about Phase 4 tonight. This is really about Wakanda Forever, but the reason this anchors Phase 4 and the Guardians of the Galaxy holiday special coming out soon is because the phases are all about introductions, right? And Phase 4 has been all, think of all the characters we've met here, and now finally in a finale here of Phase 4. Looking at it by phases, we meet an entire new kingdom, an entire new character who is the very foundation of what we do at Marvel. And he closed by saying, we'll see, depends on this, basically saying on Wakanda Forever.
Mm. Yeah, I
Um,
think he's made that right there about Phase 4 being
Yep.
about introductions.
Look who all we got. We got like a lot of people. Yeah.
So much.
So, a tumor actor, Alec Livanali, on Shooting Underwater. We have the training underwater. Don't get me wrong. It was hard. It was a lot of hard work, but it was so exciting. Everything we shot underwater was on one breath, meaning that everyone, the whole crew, the actors were at the surface, and everyone took a breath. We went down and shot for as long as until the first person came up. Then we all came up. And what other product would you get to do something like that? So
Yeah.
that's interesting.
I found out recently that, well, I say recently, about a year or so ago, that one of the largest underwater studios, film studios in Europe, is about 2 miles that way.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I didn't
I
even
didn't know that.
No, neither did I. And they've filmed a lot of some Bond scenes there before. Some Mission Impossible they've shot there. Yeah, insane. It's literally like, I could walk there in about 5 minutes. It's incredible. I did not realize it was there at all. Like, and you wouldn't think it's where it is either. So yeah,
I wonder if they shot some of the scenes there then.
maybe. Don't
Yeah.
know.
Werewolf by Night, director by night coming November 4th. So the assembled show. So this week is a big week because you're going to get She-Hulk, Werewolf by Night, and 3 Black Panther projects on makings of them out there on Disney Plus. Moon Knight, Oscar Isaac on Moon Knight season 2. There have been some specific. Oh, who's this real quick? I'm avoiding spoilers. I deleted all my social media. LOL. Yeah. I was not looking at any of the stuff on Twitter on the premiere night because you know that usually one outlet always spoil something the night of the premiere, so I completely ignored that outlet.
Or Mark Ruffalo.
Yeah.
And
Um, yeah.
every outlet and Mark Ruffalo.
Yeah, I'm probably gonna go Friday in like a matinee with my wife, probably to go see it though. So, and then take my son that weekend. Oscar Isaac on Moon Knight season 2. There have been some specific conversations. They were very present. The spilling of the details is that there's no details. We don't know if there will be a second season, but we're talking about it. Truthfully, it's about the story. Is there a story worth telling? Is it interesting? Will I feel embarrassed about it when it comes out? So it's just about, is there something worth pouring everything you have into? And with Moon Knight, that was very much about that. It's creating a structure that every morning when the alarm went off, I couldn't wait to get to the set because I wanted to try something different. Whether that's in a group thing or maybe a great idea comes around for a season 2, or if it's a standalone film, wherever it could be, I think just approaching it in that kind of way, it's the story first. He also says there's no official word. We'll see what happens. So basically, I think he wants to do it. I think before he commits, he wants to see what the script and the story is going to be and how they're going to probably build a story from season 1, is my guess.
Yeah, he wants to be excited about doing it, doesn't it? That's all it is. I mean, yeah. I mean, I can see him probably turning up somewhere else before he turns up in his own season 2.
Yep.
Just cycling back to Black Panther, because I'm almost certain now that I'm gonna go to the London red carpet premiere, not to go and watch it, obviously, because that would be awesome. But I'm gonna go, and I'm gonna try my best to get some good footage of some of the stars on the red carpet, and try and get a couple of little exclusive hellos for the group.
Nice.
From some of the talent. Like me and my youngest son are gonna hop on the train up to London and go and see that on Thursday evening. So that should be good fun. And I'll like I said, I'll try my best to get what I can for the group. Get some scoops. Maybe get a couple of people saying hello to Marvel Evolution. That'd be great, wouldn't it?
That'd be awesome. That sounds
yeah.
fun. Yeah.
That's what I'm going to try and do. I said to him, I bet to rearrange so much stuff because I was supposed to be on Tuesday night. And Tuesday night's a good night for me. I can rearrange things, not a problem. Thursday night's a terrible night for me. I have to rearrange loads of stuff, but I've managed to do it somehow. And I said to my son, "No, let's go. We're going to do it. So we're going to give that a go."
That's awesome.
That's awesome. And from the chat, that's amazing news. So I hope you guys enjoy.
Yeah,
that's what I would love to go do and see.
Yeah, I've never done it before, and I said to my son, like, "Do you want to do it?" There was something else on that we've got to miss, which is something that we do every week. But I said to him, "Look, we can do that literally next week and the week after and the week after and the week after, where we can't do this. This is the only time we're going to get to do this one particular movie. So why don't we give it a go?"
Yeah.
So yeah, we're going to give it a crack.
Definitely. Awesome. Some Florence Pugh news. Set to star in a mystery Marvel movie. According to the Hollywood Reporter, Black Widow actress Florence Pugh will receive an 8-figure paycheck for her next 2 theatrical appearances as Yelena Belova. The actress has currently only been confirmed to return in 2024's villain-centric assembled Thunderbolts, leaving a second unknown movie title in play. So I wonder if she could pop up a New World Order. I wonder if she could pop up what else is out there? Secret Wars maybe, or Kang Dynasty. But New World Order is the one that stands to me right now. Where else she could pop up? Unless, there's still some unnamed movies out there on the slate. Maybe Deadpool. I don't know.
I feel like New World Order could have her at the end, and then that could lead into the Thunderbolts, assembling. Like, oh yeah, we just had this problem, so let's go ahead and roll out the Thunderbolts now, like in the MCU.
Especially with Harrison Ford rumored to be in that, or confirmed to be in that movie, and the whole Ross Thunderbolt thing too. So.
Yeah, I reckon you're absolutely right there, Alex. I think that's exactly what's going to happen. And the New World Order is going to cause chaos, and that's going to create the demand for the Thunderbolts.
Like, I need to build a team, and she's like the first person we see Ross, and Val engaging or something like that. Or he's engaged as Val, and Yelena's with Val. Yep, and then chat as well thinks it's Captain America: New World Order. So
yep.
Fantastic Four time. Adam Driver rumored to have met with Marvel Studios for Fantastic Four, possibly for Doom was the first news. But there's been some other things too. Also that Peter's talked to Marvel, and he's maybe not Reed Richards or Doom or any of the main cast, but for another role. Maybe he's the villain of that film, because it does sound like that Doom is not going to be the villain of the first Fantastic Four movie from the reports. So could he be the Maker? Could he be Silver Surfer? Or could he be Molecule Man?
You know what? I would take him for Reed.
I would.
I would. You wouldn't.
I would take him as only if it's the Maker.
I still think having him as both. I think it was one of you. It wasn't me, and it was definitely one of you two that said make Reed the villain of his own movie.
Yep, that was me. I've been saying that.
The best way to do that is to do the Maker. So it's Reed, but it's Reed versus Reed. I think that'd be. I mean, it makes sense with the multiverse. It makes sense with Secret War coming. It just makes so much sense, and not making Doom the villain of it, making Reed the villain of it. I think it'd be perfect.
That if they did the whole Lost in Space thing that I was pitching, then make him the villain of it. But I don't think that's happening. But go ahead, Alex. You have something to say?
I was just gonna say, back to what Andy was saying, it's that whole fighting fire thing, like you're fighting the very same thing that you are, kind of type of thing, like they do in a lot of movies. But I really think that Driver would be a good person for Silver Surfer. I think that's kind of like probably right up his alley. I don't really think he can.
He has the build for it.
Yeah, like he's kind of tall. I mean, I don't really think that would require, for what I've seen of him. Like, I'm thinking of him in like the Star Wars movies. I think like based on that, I can totally see him like just play that role, just like very calm, cool, and collective, and not really say too much. And that's spot on for him,
Okay, so before we talk anymore, we get two more things, and we can circle back to this real quick. From the chat, yes, I agree with Alex Stroud. I do as well. But listen to these two things real quick, and then we'll continue this conversation. Insider Jeff Snyder, I'm told that Doctor Doom is not the villain of Fantastic Four, that Doctor Doom will be introduced basically in a mid-credit or post-credit scene in the movie. But building on that, so we know that it's not going to be Doctor Doom. It does sound like it's going to be Galactus. They're coming in hot with Galactus, it sounds like, with Fantastic Four from other things I've heard. So here's the other big rumor. Silver Surfer to be a Disney Plus special presentation and release a few months before Fantastic Four. Rumor also states it must release before the film. Norrin Rad, Silver Surfer, will not interact with any characters already established in the MCU. So we have the Adam Driver news. We have the villain's not going to be Doom rumor come out. And then now we have the special presentation news popping about Silver Surfer. I think Adam Driver is going to be Silver Surfer. His special presentation will be Norrin Rad, how he saves his planet, how he becomes a surfer, and then at the very end, basically he is the surfer, and that's going to lead into Fantastic Four with Galactus being the villain. That's what I'm thinking.
Yeah, nice. Yep, that makes sense. I don't like him as Doom, and I don't think he'd want to be Doom either. He spent half of Star Wars behind the mask, so I don't think he'd want to spend more time behind the mask. But I like that idea. That's nice.
I don't think he has the gravitas to play Doom. You know what I'm saying? Like you gotta be a certain kind of person. Like I loved Esposito as Doom just because like when he talks, I want to listen to everything he says, and that's kind of how Doom is. Like you may not like Doom, but you're like, oh, okay, Doom, like you're talking now. I want to hear what you got to say. Like,
do you just on those? Let's just pretend that Esposito is going to be Doom. Mm-hmm. So, do we need Doom and Reed to be similar age?
It depends how they do it, because they're going to be college rivals, that kind of stuff. The whole story, I think they need to be similar age, and that's why I'm still holding out for Edgar Ramirez to be Doom.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
What if they did something, and I know we've talked about this before, and it's probably not going to happen, but what if they did something where they had like Reed and the Sue and Johnny and Ben all getting stuck somewhere like the quantum realm? Doom's been in the main world this whole time. Doom's aged and they haven't, and so they're young.
Yeah.
And,
that would work out too. Yeah,
that'd be really interesting actually. And then Doom would almost be quite bitter about the fact that Reed's still a young man, maybe. No, I don't think actually he probably wouldn't really. Knowing Doom, he probably wouldn't care. But there could be an element that they could use, and that makes sense.
It could be one of those things where Doom was like, "Hey, this was my rival, and I thought he disappeared, and now he's back." Like,
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I like
From the chat here, I also heard that about Silver Surfer from my sources as well. And then I hope fingers crossed.
Oh, who are your
Um,
sources?
Yeah. Also, too, Brandon Perea from the movie Nope. Interested in playing Johnny Storm. Well, the thing I've been intrigued in recently, and I didn't even bring this idea up, I started seeing it from the casting Johnny Storm, man. That was something that was very intriguing. I think my performance in Nope really highlights that. I have to bring some more swagger into it for sure for that Johnny Storm. But to be able to sit across from Tom Holland or something like the best friend feel, I think, well, especially after watching the latest Spider-Man, we knock some scenes out of the park, man. It'd be so fun and blessing. So,
Okay.
let me go over the chat here. Do you guys think or
Oh.
hope Doom will relate to Reed or Kang? Because
No.
basically been teased and hinted for years in the comics.
I
I
know
got
it
a
is
pipe
now.
dream.
That's Monty.
Yeah.
That's Monty. Hi,
Hey,
Monty.
Monty. Sorry about the Jets.
Yeah. So read that question again for us, Joe.
Yeah, I'll put it back on the screen too. Do you guys think or hope Doom will be related to Reed or Kang? Because that's basically been teased and hinted for years in the comics. Well, if it's related to Reed, he's going to relate to Kang because Kang's basically a descendant of Reed. So all three could be related in this. They could spin it that way. I do like Alex's thing about they could be in the quantum realm and Doom is not, and that's why the age difference. So that's an interesting thought, and that's where Esposito could fit in to that role, for being the age difference.
I feel like we're gonna get this massive curveball with Kang, where Kang's gonna be related to somebody in the MCU, but it's not gonna be like a Doom or a Reed. It's gonna be like a really
Riri.
far, well, I was gonna say like a really far down the line descendant of somebody, or just somebody who like picked up somebody's like past tech, and you could have like, I mean, I feel like Tony Stark's like tech and in-game kind of helped influence Kang, and I mean with the temporal thing he's got on his wrists and everything. I feel like Pym particles had to be like a result of that. So there's no telling like who he could be like almost like related to in the MCU, like way down the line, you know?
I'm not sure. Is it too obvious? They're related. Do you know what I mean? Like, is that
Someone goes like Iron Man
Yeah.
or Harley.
Mm-hmm.
Someone
Yeah,
like Harley.
well, that's been sort of said a few times, isn't it?
Yeah.
That Harley could be Iron Lad, which is then Kang, so
Mm-hmm.
it could be a version of Kang.
I think with Quantumania, it'd be interesting if he was somehow related to Scott way down the line.
Yeah.
Like, you know, and it being one of those things where like maybe they don't realize it, but like somehow he's got some indirect tie to Scott. Like,
Or Justin Hammer.
Justin Hammer.
if it's just to answer Monty's question directly, do I think it will? I don't know. Do I want it to be?
Yeah.
No.
Yeah.
So speaking of Quantumania and Reed and possible descendants, William Jackson Harper has joined the cast and will appear in a mysterious role that Marvel Studios is keen to keep under wraps.
Who is that?
He's what has he been in? He's Glasses. I think I posted him in the group before about one of my fan casting for
I'm gonna go
for Reed. I'm trying to think. He's been on like I think of The Good Place or one of the TV shows he's been on. Someone goes, love that, Jarian. Okay,
Love
thank you. But I think it was like The Good Place or something like that. He's been on, but he's been on one of the sitcoms.
I know the guy. Yeah. I know the guy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I think he was like my Reed, and I think like Nicole Berry was my Sue Storm, and then I had a couple others like Johnny in the thing. Like I think I had Seth Rogen for the thing, and I can't remember who I had for Johnny Storm.
So
my
he
fan
could be
casting.
he could be like Reed trapped in the quantum realm type of thing. It'd be really interesting if they played that angle, because they could even make the first movie like the Fantastic Four versus Rama Tut.
Yep.
And Rama Tut brings the Fantastic Four to Kang and leaves them there. That'd be kind of a neat little twist.
But there's been some people going back and forth that he's not actually playing Reed, but a new character that's in the quantum realm. So I don't know. There's been some back and forth on that. I just don't know. So something to keep an eye on. But Marvel Studios concept artist Anthony Francisco on MODOK. I could probably say this. I designed MODOK for this. It's huge. And I know they said this during Comic-Con, right? I designed him, and oh my god, that's one of the best experience. It was so fun because he's one of my favorite characters that I would draw when I was younger. With him fighting Incredible Hulk, that's what I used to draw. They knew I was going to do justice with the way the character was presented in the comic book. Kevin Feige really liked the takes I had on him, and I can't wait to show it, which they did show him during the trailer at Comic-Con and D23, but they didn't show MODOK or the famous line in the trailer. The synopsis for Quantumania. This what?
Say that again. Oh, you
The-
did the synopsis. Sorry, I thought
Oh.
Quantumania that you said, but you
Oh,
for Quantumania. I was like, for
Oh.
in Quantumania.
yeah, the synopsis for Quantumania. In the film, which officially kicks off Phase 5 of the Marvel Cinematic Universe, superhero partners Scott Lang and Hope Van Dyne return to continue their adventures as Ant-Man and the Wasp. Together with Hope's parents Hank Pym and Janet Van Dyne, the family finds themselves exploring the quantum realm, interacting with new creatures, and embarking on an adventure that will push them beyond the limits of what they thought was possible. Jonathan Majors joins the adventure as Kang. Director Peyton Reed directs the film. Kevin Feige and Steven Broussard produce. So at that point, I have some more news, but let's talk about the trailer now.
I was gonna say that's a pretty rubbish synopsis. I could have said
Yeah. Yeah.
it's not really a synopsis, was it? I mean, it was the most vague synopsis I think I've ever heard in my life. It's about as good as some of those breaking news. Maybe reported. It's been maybe reported that potentially this person could maybe be in talks to maybe play a part in the possible upcoming film that might happen.
Breaking news: Madison from She-Hulk is getting her own show.
Yeah.
Like,
So
Yeah.
since we've
Anyway.
gone through Quantumania, let's go ahead and discuss the trailer if that came out.
Yeah, so I think I said just before we come on air, didn't we? I was kind of, or maybe it was the one when it was on air. I don't know. It seemed like a long time ago now, but I was a little bit. I wouldn't say I was let down by the trailer, but it just, I think, as you said, Joan, they showed MODOK, supposedly showed MODOK in the CDCC, and Kang saying to Scott something along the lines of, "Are you an Avenger? Have I killed you before?" And there was a couple of things that I was waiting to. I haven't seen the bootleg or the leaked trailer from those conventions, but I was waiting to see them in this trailer. And then when I saw, I was waiting all through the trailer. I was like, yes, this looks great. Look at these great visuals. And then it kind of didn't happen. And I went, oh, right, okay, all right. I'll wait a little bit longer then. And it's almost like, after all them leaks, and then those kind of little bits weren't there. But that said, it looks fantastic. Visually looks brilliant. There's I think I'm excited to see more of Jonathan Majors. That's for certain.
Yes.
I'm excited to see this movie, full stop, but certainly excited to see more of him.
I almost wonder if we're going to see an updated trailer at the beginning of Wakanda Forever and actually see MODOK and hear that line. You know, more of what they saw at Comic-Con and D23.
Mm.
But I love the visuals. The music is always on point with Marvel trailers.
mhm.
The visuals, also it looks like that the 10 rings and the bangle could possibly be connected to the quantum realm and Kang from some of the visuals. But it does sound like we're on another heist. So every time we see Scott, it's some kind of heist.
Always.
Yeah, I do love the fact that with Hope, they're giving her the classic Jane look from the comics, the short hair, the costume. So I wonder if she's going to take a step forward and be more of a leader, like Jane was in the comics and the cartoons, and Hope taking that step.
Yeah, I mentioned that the other day, didn't I? And I think that was
Yep.
probably what sparked that fall, the haircut. And it's
Yep.
stupid. It is stupid, but sometimes those visual things can spark those falls. And I did think, I wonder whether they're going to sort of push her more into, like you say, that leadership type role with the Avengers. I know that she's a little bit Marmite, isn't she? Really, Evangeline Lee. I know a lot of people don't like her acting, but me personally, I don't mind it at all. She's got views and had views on things as a person. We've all got views on certain things that some people don't agree with. But I think that I don't know. I'd quite like to say, I think it'd bring a different dynamic to the Avengers if she stepped forward a little bit.
I think a big change for her would be, I mean, we know Hank and Janet both go to the quantum realm in this. We see that in the trailer. So she could very well have Hank die, or honestly even Janet die, and then that would be kind of like a very like big push as to like, hey, I need to like maybe step it up and be a little bit different here. Um,
I think
Yeah.
that's definitely going to happen. And one of
Mhm.
them's going to die. I don't,
Oh.
do you reckon both of them could?
Yeah,
Mhm.
I misread something. He said, "Love the hat." Thank you. I thought he said, "Love that," so I can't read. Thank you. My hair's all messed today, so I had to put it up, kind of thing. But
you-
yeah, I definitely go ahead, Andy.
No, I was going to say, I think Alex might be right. I think we're going to see
Yeah.
Michael Douglas or Michelle Pfeiffer's going to kick it, I think, in this movie. And yeah, that might, like you say, spur Hope on to be almost to sort of move forward a little bit with. Yeah, I don't know, but yeah, it's funny, isn't it? Like you say, just a haircut made me think, I wonder whether she's going to be this person now,
And we know Janet was trapped in the quantum realm,
Yep.
so it wouldn't be surprising like if she might know Kang or have some sort of
Yeah.
relationship where like, maybe he like makes an example and kills her first or something, like as like a boom.
I don't think she knows Kang, but I think she knows Bill Murray's character, and I think that's how she survived. I think she knows of Kang, and that's why the whole
Mhm.
thing. And when she's like, "Shut it down now,"
Mhm.
because she
You
knows
don't
there's
know what
danger.
you're doing.
Yeah, there's other dangers in the quantum realm, and maybe we get some hints on the negative zone as well, being in the quantum zone with those other villains outside of there, on the Fantastic Four side. So it'll be interesting to see, what all she's done and experienced in the quantum realm.
You know what you just said there, Alex, about Kang potentially killing Hope or Hank or whatever. I hope that happens early, a little bit like, in Infinity War when Thanos kills Loki at the beginning, you just go, oh, he
The
means
tone is
business.
set. Yep.
Yeah, it's serious. You know what I mean?
Mhm.
Like, he's not messing about. You just got bam, we're gonna just kill a main character. It's like Game of Thrones, just chop somebody down straight away, and everyone's like, "Whoa, where did that come from?" I hope they do
It
that.
raises the stakes. I mean,
Yep.
you
Yeah.
literally watch Thanos kill Heimdall, Loki, like all these Asgardians,
yeah.
while
Like,
Thor is
own
like
Hulk.
helplessly, like like he's like Thor's helplessly sitting there, and we all like love Thor and think Thor is like incredibly powerful, but Thor just like helplessly sits there and watches it happen, and you just
in
like,
like 5 minutes, that happens as
Yep.
well.
yeah, and you're
It's
just like,
nuts.
wow, like okay,
Yeah, Kang
like
should make that kind of entrance.
And it
Mhm.
sounds like too that the stakes are high because it looks like he has Cassie trapped, I believe, and he has to, it's basically whatever he needs him to get, which I think is part of his chair, possibly, or some tech he needs to get out of the quantum realm or to time travel or whatever he does, is very important to Kang. And Kang basically is using Cassie as a bargaining chip, her life for whatever I need to get from, I think it's Bill Murray's character, is the person that he's
Who-
up against.
Who could that be?
There was, remember, he was like, going blank.
Bill Murray.
Yeah, his character was
wasn't
like someone.
Krylar or
Yeah, Krylar. I was thinking Quasar. Krylar.
yeah.
So
Who's
Or
that? I don't know
Krylar.
who that is. Does anybody know who that is? I'm not sure who that is. Is he
remember.
is he in a similar vein? Because I tell you what I got from him, and it might just be because of who he is, but what I got from him was a bit of Jeff Goldblum, Grandmaster
Yes.
vibes, a bit of
Mhm.
Benicio del Toro collector vibes.
Yep.
Almost it fitted that same, I mean, maybe it's because he was a slightly older actor. Someone he looked like he had a sort of a cape on, sort of more grandiose clothes. I don't know whether that was part of it, but it seemed like he was almost another one of those people.
Mhm.
I mean, I
Yeah.
don't know if that's who that is. I'm not sure.
I gotta double check, but I think you're on the right path there.
Yeah,
Mhm.
maybe that could be someone like that at least,
Yep.
even if he's not one of those people. One of someone in that similar vein who's kind of the sort of kingpin. Excuse the pun.
Mhm.
Of the quantum realm, maybe. But I think that just going back to the Kang and making a big entrance and et cetera, et cetera. I hope he isn't defeated at the end of this movie. Like, I hope it doesn't even seem like he's defeated, and he's obviously not going to be defeated because we've got the Kang dynasty coming. I know that, but my point is that I don't like in She-Hulk where she sort of started talking about why do we have to have this big kind of fight. I'm not saying we shouldn't have a big fight, but in Quantumania, but why do we have to do this? It doesn't have to be like this. The endings don't have to be like this.
Mhm.
And I hope that it's almost like an Infinity War type ending rather than something different.
Yeah, like him breaking out of the quantum realm type thing, or maybe that's the post credit scene, or the post credit scene, something that ties the King Dynasty, But I definitely see him getting out of the quantum realm. My question is going to be, how is this going to tie into Loki season 2, and will we see Ravonna at all inside of Quantumania, or will we not see them until we get to the King Dynasty? See her with him until then.
I still feel like the TVA is in the quantum realm for some reason. And, that statue that we saw at the end of Loki season 1, like, we're going to go into this empire the Kang's got, and you're going to find out that, like, oh, yeah, there's more of those statues everywhere and stuff like that. And who knows?
Like that city we saw in the first Ant-Man, that was that city, that was the TVA. I also wonder, too, if they're going to show with, so we saw He Who Remains dying at the end of Loki season 1, and then we saw the whole statues at the back of the TVA. If we're going to see how Kang returns, with the whole, you think I'm bad, I can like my variants type thing, and what other variants are we going to see in this movie? If we see them, will it be Rama-Tut, or is Rama-Tut going to be someone saved for Fantastic Four, Scarlet Centurion, Iron Lad? Who are we going to see from his variants pop up?
And we've already seen Kang with Kang Enterprises, the one that was in Loki, and
in the Void. So we know that's there. We don't know who bought an Avengers Tower yet. Is that a clue to Avengers Tower buyer? Is that Baxter Building? Is that Oscorp? Is that something else? I guess it can't be Oscorp because Oscorp's not in the MCU yet. So Baxter Building, the new HQ for Secret Avengers, or I'm sorry, Thunderbolts.
Wasn't that Kang Enterprises sign on the old Stark building that was the Avengers building?
In the Void, yep, it was. So that's what I'm saying, is that, we're going to get Mr. Glyphon because the actor that plays Short Round is cast in Quantumania as an adult. So is he going to be like a play on Mr. Glyphon maybe in this, So
yeah, there's so many things it could tie into. Like you say, the whole Loki season 2 thing, how he's going to play into that, it's going to be really interesting because obviously we've seen Jonathan Majors in Loki season 1. Then we're going to get a whole load of him in Quantumania, and then what are we going to get?
3 movies.
We're going to get the same sort of amount of him in season 2 of Loki. The Marvels is coming up, and if the rings and the bands and all of that have got something to do with him as well.
Also, does America Chavez tie in also to this in some fashion?
Yeah.
So from the comments, I was getting a Guardians of the Galaxy vibe from this movie, which it does seem like that type of adventure. It's like taking the heist of Scott into a Guardians of the Galaxy type, adventure. It seems like, so definitely.
I like how Scott's been put into these huge situations. You know what I mean? He's just like a normal bloke. But he's just a normal person who's just fallen into these massive situations.
Who literally wandered into this because in his first movie, he tried to steal a suit and didn't know what it was. And then was like, oh, great, I guess I'll take it anyways. Like, and
he was manipulated into stealing the suit.
Exactly. Well, manipulated. Yeah.
But he still doesn't even really know what's going on, does he? Like, even now, he still doesn't really know. He's like, I don't have no idea what I'm doing here. I'm just, I'm just going along with it.
And that's what I love about like him being like an engineer, being like an electrical engineer, is like in the first movie when he gets sucked into the quantum realm, like I think Hank says the entire movie, do not play with the regulator on the suit. And the first thing he does is pop it open and take one of those things and put something in there and slam it shut and being like, let's give this a try. I mean, it works, but that's just how Scott is he's just like, hey, let's just keep giving it a try, Like,
what's the worst that could happen?
Yeah, I mean.
Are we good on Quantumania?
Yeah, I think so. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. Guardians of the Galaxy Holiday Special will premiere November 25th. So Thanksgiving in the US, so get Guardians of the Galaxy Holiday Special. There has been some buzz about Michael Rooker returning, not as Yondu, but as himself.
Yeah.
So that's interesting. Yeah. The special presentation synopsis: in the Guardians of the Galaxy Holiday Special, the Guardians who are on a mission to make Christmas unforgettable for Quill head to Earth in search of the perfect present. Also, do you remember when James Gunn said his favorite all-time character will be introduced in the special, which we thought was like a Boba Fett type with Adam Warlock? It comes out to be Kevin Bacon. He went to Twitter and said, and yes, I said the Guardians of the Galaxy Holiday Special was going to be my favorite MCU character. That favorite character is Kevin Bacon. So, in which you see they're in this house in the trailer. The trailer's out. You know, all the visuals are there. We see kind of a bulked up group that's a little older in the trailer. But all the cast looks to be in the holiday special.
I love that because wasn't it in Infinity War that Mantis like is talking to Thor and Thor says something about the Avengers and she says, "Oh, like Kevin Bacon," and he goes, "He might be on the team.
Yeah.
I'm not really sure." You know,
I've been there for a while.
yeah.
And then on Titan, she's like, Footloose, the dance off ever, and like, what? Well, Parker and Tony are like, what are you talking about?
Is Footloose still the best movie ever?
Yeah,
No,
it never was.
It never was.
Yeah, that's gonna be a fun little interlude. That Guardian. I think we're gonna get quite a lot of seriousness. I think
Yep.
after this though, and it's kind of. I say after this, we've obviously got Wakanda Forever, which I think is going to be, obviously quite serious. But Quantumania, Secret Invasion's coming shortly after that as well. So the holiday special will just be like, look. Remember, we can have fun because the next couple of things we've got hopefully are going to be a little bit more on the serious side.
And that's all we're going to have for the rest of the year, pretty much, because there's no more shows planned. So we're going to have Wakanda Forever next week because tomorrow's a new week.
Yeah,
So,
that's it. Yeah.
yeah, and then Guardians of the Galaxy holiday special until we get Quantumania.
My God, that's going to be a dry winter.
Yeah, so
We're going to have to go through the whole of December and January with nothing.
Yeah.
so I got an idea for content during that time.
Go on.
I think, well, what if could possibly come out, but if no new content comes out, what we can discuss is some of the cartoons that kind of relate to some of these storylines. Like, for example, there's the whole Kang stuff and Avengers Assemble and the other one.
Earth's Mightiest Heroes.
Yes, as well. So there's some cartoon content we can discuss because they might tie in to give us some hints on what's going on. Yeah.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, well,
Speaking of Secret Invasion, that's next. An official Disney site has released several GIFs, whatever you want to call it, from the upcoming series, including one featuring Clark entitled "It's the Beginning, Abigail Brand." Rumors and reports have had Clark playing multiple characters from Brand, to Skrull Spy Gia and even Skull Queen Van Ranke. Is she Brand or a Skrull I can't talk anymore. Or a Skrull impersonating Brand? Here's my take. I think she's both. I think that Emilia Clarke long term is Abigail Brand. I think that she's also playing a Skrull who's impersonating Brand. I think the infiltration of Sword, who Brand runs, is going to be the surrogate of the ship crashing in Savage Land that we saw in the comic run of Secret Invasion. So I think that's the surrogate for that. So Brand's going to be somewhere, trapped like they were. She'll come back to Earth not knowing she's a Skrull, and that whole thing going on about who's a Skrull, who's not a Skrull, not knowing they're so deep, that kind of thing. And I think that's what they're going to do with Sword.
And that conversation she has where she's like, "You don't understand, like I've seen this before," type of thing, is literally like one of those things where it's like she doesn't realize that she's even a Skrull. Like she's so convinced,
Yeah,
but
I'm really looking forward. I really like Emilia Clarke, and I was so when I saw that she was it seems like she's going to be Abigail Brand. I was like, excellent, because I don't see Kobe Schmolders taking over that. Obviously, she's Maria Hill, but I don't see her taking on the Maria Hill role from the comics, where she was like in charge of Shield and like that hard woman in charge of Shield. I see Emilia Clarke doing that.
Yep.
I think that would be great. I think she could take over the Nick Fury role that we saw in phase 1 and 2 and 3, I guess. And she could take over that role going forward once this storyline has been dealt with. And
especially how they transition from Shield to Sword now, right?
Yeah.
So, Charlize Theron on Clear's return. Let's just say I have some work to do. I don't quite know who she is yet, but I will.
Got original comic, basically. That's what she said.
You are the new Sorcerer Supreme. You are married to Doctor Strange. You are the niece of Dormammu. You rule over the Dark Dimension. It's not that hard. Blade news. We may have found a new director. Elegance Brant Bratton maybe directing from the buzz out there. He's done Inspection that's coming out and a thing called Peer Kids. So, which is good news if they found a director, because that way they can get that thing back on track and start getting that thing filming. Because right now it is delayed because of director and script and that kind of stuff.
Yeah, shame about that one, isn't it? Really,
Yep.
because it seemed like it was all going very, very well. They had a date, they had an actor, they had a graphics, they had a director, they had writers, and just gone.
Well, it's better for them to recognize that now than to pump
Totally.
something out, you know? Like, I will gladly accept that, then be like, "Oh, you know what? This Blade movie wasn't what we were gonna expect originally, so we're gonna just change some things and fix it and make it better."
And I think as fans, you respect that, don't you? Do you know
Mhm.
what I mean? If they, there was, I remember seeing when that news came out, and there was people like, "Oh, this isn't a good sign," and then there was other people going, "What are you talking about? This is a great sign. This is a sign that they go, this isn't ready. We're not ready to do this. Let's just wait until we are ready to do it." And you're like, "Yeah, that makes sense."
Well,
I think we respect that.
and Blade's a good character that they can really tell a really good story with, so why, like, settle for something less when you could do more, I guess,
Yep.
is what I'm saying, you know? Like,
Yeah,
And
but,
also-
but why settle for less for any character?
yeah,
Why-
exactly,
it's-
exactly, but
It's not like it's the only project that's coming out in a
Mhm,
certain period of time. There's loads of other stuff. It's not like we're all going to sit here and go, "What are we going to watch now?"
mhm.
and hopefully with like the reception of Work by Night, maybe they tie in something there. We close that loop from Eternals about the whole his voice, and not seeing
Yeah.
him with Dane Whitman and the Ebony Blade. And so, you know, take the time to do it proper. Maybe introduce Moon Knight into the mix. I don't know. So we'll
Yeah.
see.
Yeah,
Go ahead.
no, I was just about to say the voice thing and the fact that they've changed movies and completely abandoned certain movies. I remember when they were doing was it the phase? Oh, I can't remember which phase it was. Must be phase 3, the CDCC layout, and they had Inhumans on there, and they just got rid of that. They can change things whenever they want.
Super
And-
Society.
Yeah,
Yeah,
so
well, yeah,
society.
Yeah, but that was them trolling us for sure, weren't it?
But they can redeem that though in New World Order by using
Well-
the Gamma Tech to make Serpent Hulks, and there's your Super Society as part of the New World Order.
Yeah,
I don't know. Anyways, Shang-Chi news. Awkwafina has won Best Supporting Actress in a Motion Picture for Shang-Chi and the Legend of the Ten Rings at Saturn Awards 2022. So for Kate playing the role of Katie.
who was running it? Do we know?
I don't know. I just saw that she won.
I'm not.
Yeah.
I'm not a fan, if I'm honest.
Mhm.
Okay, moving on then. Rumor time.
Hey.
A Vision series titled Vision Quest, which I immediately think of the 80s wrestling movie with Matthew Modine, is in the works. Marvel Studios is assembling a writer's room for the series next week. It is unknown if Paul Bettany will be reprising his role. Vision Quest will follow the Vision trying to regain his memory and humanity. Jack Schaefer will oversee the series. There's also a possibility for Elizabeth Olsen to appear as Wanda. So it almost sounds like we're getting 2 spinoffs from WandaVision here.
Mhm.
And I wonder if she's going to appear as Wanda, if it's going to be flashbacks or memories, or depending on the timing, will this be after Agatha? Well, it's going to have to be after Agatha Coven of Chaos, because that train's already on the track. So
Yeah.
I wonder if it will be a flashback or if it will be them actually meeting back up, and will we see the boys at all?
Well, and I love the name Vision Quest, because Vision Quest makes me think of when somebody goes out and they go on like a vision quest where they're trying to like learn something or come to some realization, and they go out and they wander around and then they like come to this realization and then they come back. That's kind of like the idea I'm kind of getting here with this kind of thing, is it's going to be like Vision going off, finding himself,
Yeah.
and
That's
then
what I was
coming
saying.
back. And yeah,
He's like learning, isn't he? He's like
Yep.
learning about everything what humanity is, and learning who he is, and learning about all these different things, and then coming back into his world. Yeah, totally.
it's almost like looping back to Age of Ultron, because it's like, when he first wakes up in Age of Ultron, he's just kind of like shocked by everything. And now he's almost like having to relearn everything coming back to this point, Um,
Yeah, I just had a vision. Excuse the pun. I just had a vision of Vision, like in it's funny actually, in Wally with Otto so the autopilot, and do you remember the captain in Wally? He's sitting there. He says something about. He said, I think Otto says something about Earth, and Captain goes, "What is Earth?" And then Otto says about what is Earth, and he keeps going on and on and on. Now, what is a tree? What is pizza? What is this? And then he runs out, and the captain's got all these like facts about these different things, and he can't wait to tell somebody. I can see Vision sitting down in front of Kevin and going, "Who is Iron Man?" And then he tells him, "Yeah, okay, who is Pepper Potts?" And it just sort of goes on this journey, finding all this stuff out that he did know before, but he's gone, and he needs to relearn all this stuff.
Every time somebody says something, he just goes, "I request elaboration." Just
Yeah. When that happens in the Matrix quite a lot. There's that great scene in the Matrix where Keanu Reeves. So it's almost like they're treating you like you're an idiot, because Morpheus goes, "Yeah, charge the EMP," and then Keanu Reeves pops up and he goes, "EMP," and then Morpheus then goes, "Electromagnetic pulse," and Keanu Reeves goes, "Okay," and then it just keeps going on like that. Somebody mentions something, Vision just goes, "Captain America."
That's
Go on,
funny.
Joe, carry on. We're just
No, you're fine. Sorry, I'm watching Discord late here. So I got the game on the side.
okay.
So you're fine. Venom 3. Andy Serkis will not return to direct Venom 3. Writer Kelly Marcel to take over. That's interesting because she's the one that wrote Venom 2. And now she's taking over. And I don't think Venom 2 was the best story.
Mhm.
So we see interesting that Andy Serkis is not directing, and that she's taking the helm over.
He's busy. He's busy being in Andor. That's what
Yeah.
he's doing. If anybody's not watching Andor, watch Andor.
I haven't watched it yet.
Watch
Yeah.
Andor.
I'm gonna binge watch it when it's done.
Yeah, Well, you need to focus on doing some binge watching. It's one of those ones you've got to be paying attention. There's a couple of episodes where you can't switch off. You've got to watch it. You got to
Okay.
listen to what they're saying.
So that's Venom 3 news. So Sony. Nate Moore, producer for Wakanda Forever, Eternals on Eternals 2. Oh, someone from the chat here says they haven't watched it either for Andor.
Oh, get on Andor. It's brilliant. This last episode, there was bits in there that reminded me, it was almost like 1984 come to life. It was great. Absolutely. I'm loving it. Absolutely loving it. Brilliant. Best thing Star Wars have done for years.
So Nate Moore talked about Eternals 2. He says, I do not want to spoil anything, but we have not seen the last of those characters. So whether that's a sequel to Eternals or they're going to start popping up elsewhere. But they pretty much left the door open to do a sequel with the way it ended, right? That definitely was a sequel type movie. I don't see them just trying to do something with the characters popping up elsewhere, even though we've seen Kingo references and him pop up not like pop up, but references of him pop up in the MCU. So we're interested to see how that goes, but I definitely could see others pop up in other places too as well once they figure out the whole thing with the Celestials.
What's the comic run on that's just finished? Is it Judgment Day that's got the Avengers versus the Eternals versus the X-Men? Or not?
I think it is.
Not versus. I don't think they're versus each other.
But they're all together in it, yeah.
Yeah, they're all together. Or was it the Reckoning War? It's one of the latest ones that
Yeah, it's one of those two. I'll have to go back and check, but I know what you're talking about.
It's one of the latest ones, but they're in that. So, just a thought.
Miss Marvel. So I'm on Delaney on Miss Marvel after the Marvels. I think it's going to be a very fun time to see Kamala post Marvels, and having become this fully formed superhero, and then fully on her own, where she goes from that, coming back to her hometown after I was going to go. Okay, spoiler, I did, and then after doing fighting with her favorite superhero, and then coming back to Jersey, I think that's going to be really fun to play with. So season 2, post Marvels, definitely that train's on the tracks. It seems like.
Mm-hmm.
I'd like to. Do you know what I'd like to see? I'd like to see more kind of. There's a season of something. There's a special presentation of Nova. I don't know. Then we see him. Nova's in a movie, and then there's a series, and then he appears in somebody else's movie, and then maybe he's back for another series. Or do you know what I mean? I don't think there should be certain characters that are tied to certain structures. Just because they've had a season they don't necessarily need another season. They could have a special presentation, or they could have a movie, and somebody who's only ever had movies could come and have a special presentation or a series. And then, it shouldn't just be because there was a season 1, there definitely is going to be a season 2, like the prequel to season 1. Well, the sequel to season 1 of Miss Marvel is The Marvels, I guess, isn't it?
Yep.
Which is, so I suppose that's already happening, but I hope they don't get too predictable with, just because it's had season 1, it has to have a season 2.
Mm-hmm. I think with the Marvels is a good example. I think that after seeing this Marvel and going into that as kind of like a sequel to that show, you don't have to have like, an immediate tie for a season 2. But I also think it gets confusing for fans who go and watch a show that's like season 1, season 2, season 3, and they're all at different points. Because then if you go and you try and just like binge watch it in a line, it's like watching Daredevil. Like, I think the first 2 seasons of Daredevil take place before Defenders, and the 3rd season takes place after Defenders. So Daredevil season 3 picks up with the exact events where he was at the end of, Defenders. So if you go into season 3 watching Daredevil, you're like, okay, so what just happened exactly? Like, unless you watch Defenders,
Yeah. But then we've said that before in the past, though, haven't we? That you're not watching Iron Man and you're not watching Captain America. You're watching Marvel. The sequel to this project, the sequel to the project that's on now, is the next project. It's not the next one in that series of movies. In the same way that you couldn't watch, First Avenger, Winter Soldier, and Civil War back to back without understanding some of the things that have happened in between. There are things that have happened in between that are important to the kind of story that's about to happen in that particular movie. So I get what you're saying, though. I do understand that, and I think you're right. There should be at least some sort of continuity from season 1 to season 2, even if there is 2 or 3 projects where that character's appeared and stuff's happened to them and they've developed within that time. There should still be some sort of continuity so that people can do what you said and watch season 1, 2, and 3 or whatever.
It doesn't have to be that way. And I mean, we've discussed this before. A lot of these stories are transitory, I cannot talk today, tales that are meant to be like a transition, telling a story from point A to point B to get us to another point, to basically like get us moving forward with another story, another tie-in, like something else, So,
yeah, no, you're right. I think that's the beauty of this universe that they've created, though, isn't it? It's only the same with comics. It's exactly the same with comics. They've literally taken comics and just put them on the television.
Definitely.
Or on the big screen.
So Disney CEO Bob Chapek on more adult content for Disney Plus. I want to respect what this brand is, but at the same time, I know that we may be even more precious about what is Disney than the consumer base is. If the consumer base has more elasticity, we probably ought to listen to our audience, which means we have more degrees of freedom than we probably thought. So, I mean,
he's kind of said, I'm not sure what he's actually said there. He's kind
that's
of
a lot of words without saying something.
Yeah, that's exactly what I was going to say. It doesn't sound like he said anything. I mean, I don't know. I mean, I get kind of understand where it's going. He's got Disney. They've got Disney. They will still want to be Disney, but they can still produce stuff that's not just for children.
Yep.
And vice versa as well.
Yep. You have the whole content protection now controls on Disney Plus. So do what you want. It's your service.
Yeah. And why restrict yourself? I don't understand.
Exactly. Don't put yourself into a corner.
I mean, like, and I hate to be this way, but like, look at She-Hulk. Like, children don't care about like dating and things like that. You know what I'm saying? So like, there's other stuff that's already on the platform that, like, it's like, come on.
Yeah, and that's a good point though, Alex, as well. Like, just because She-Hulk was a comedy and because it wasn't ultra violent or ultra graphic doesn't mean it's for kids. Just because, like you said, actually a lot of the content that was in She-Hulk wasn't for children, And going back to what I was saying a minute ago, Andor, for example, there's nothing it's Star Wars. There's nothing graphic about it. There's no swearing in it. There's no nudity. There's nothing inappropriate. but it's not for kids. Kids wouldn't. My kids don't want to watch it.
Mhm.
My 12 and 16-year-olds don't want to watch it. They find it not boring. I wouldn't say they find it boring, but it's not like watching, you know, Attack of the Clones.
Mhm.
It's totally different. So just because it doesn't include those things doesn't mean that it's not for children.
Mhm.
And I think that's the kind of the point, isn't it? It's like, you know, there's different styles and yeah.
Mhm. I mean, Deadpool's certainly not for children. I can tell you that much. So
Good
Not
point.
even what's on TV and it's censored. It's still not for children. So
yeah.
So James Gunn is now co-head of DC now, announced this week. Feige did address that because people are like, oh, they got James Gunn, down girls Marvel, blah blah blah, this and that. No, he's not even like that. Kevin Feige, I speak to James almost every day. We have a wonderful thing called the Guardians of the Galaxy Holiday Special coming out. We have a wonderful thing called Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3 coming out in May. How he'll have any time to work on DC until May, I don't know. But once he does have the time, I'll be very excited. I'll be first in line. James, go ahead.
No, carry on.
No, go ahead.
Oh, I was going to say, I think, like you said, fans want to go, oh yeah, this is happening. Look at him, he's going to stick it to Marvel, and it's like they're not doing that at all. Like these guys aren't doing that at all. They're like, oh, good for you, like brilliant, great opportunity, crack on. And most normal people like us are going, fantastic. This is going to be brilliant. We're going to get to see, all these DC characters come to life in a cohesive universe with somebody who's, produced, some good projects for them. And we're like, great. And then there's weird people going, oh, that's it.
Yeah.
We're now in the trash can, or DC are going to rise and beat Marvel. Beat them how? What does
They got a lot of catching up. Yeah. And if they tried to, there's still a lot of catching up to do.
No, but even that, but what does beating them look like?
Yeah. We win. Us as consumers, we win. There's no beating. It's like, it's more for us.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Is there a fight? I didn't realize there was a fight going on, It's just more content for us. Like, great. Anyway, carry on.
James Gunn has basically worked for both for years, from the first Guardians to Suicide Squad, to Peacemaker, and he's going to do more. So what's the, he'll probably do more Marvel stuff too. I wouldn't be surprised if he does another Marvel project after this.
Yeah.
So,
well, and what I love about it is as a DC fan, like I've already gone and seen Black Adam. I know people who are Marvel fans who are not going to go see that movie. They should. That movie was fantastic. That movie was phenomenal. Love that movie. It's one of the best DC movies to come out in a long time. And a lot of it has to do with The Rock being kind of like a big part of that.
Question for you.
Mm-hmm.
Shazam or Black Adam, which is better?
Black Adam.
Really?
Like, without a doubt. Yeah.
Really? Okay.
This movie was phenomenal. And
I plan to see it. I haven't seen it yet, though, but I plan to see it.
Yeah, and I watched that movie and I was like, man, like if DC stuck to like formulas like this, like they would be making like just killer movies. But like the thing about that movie is like that movie is just like from beginning to end, like I sat there and I was just amazed. Like I haven't seen a DC movie like that. For it to be about Black Adam, it's not just a Black Adam film. Like you have all these other characters get tons of screen time, and that's the kind of formula that they need. And with Gunn now going over to DC, I'm hoping this brings a lot of fans who won't watch DC movies to suddenly start watching some DC movies. Because, like, if you go and watch that Black Adam movie, I'm telling you, you're going to be really impressed.
Okay, that's good to hear, because Shazam is my favorite DC movie so far, is Shazam.
Mm-hmm.
So if you think it's better than that, then I trust your judgment. So that's good to hear. I'm going to see it anyways. I'm not that person. I can't watch DC because of Marvel, blah, blah, blah. No, I don't play that game. But I was looking forward to it for Dr. Fate and for Hawkman, just the visuals I saw on the TV trailers and all that kind of stuff. So The Rock, not so much, because I don't feel he embraces Black Adam as much as he should have, but I'll wait and see the film. But from the chat here, it was an amazing movie, especially Dr. Fate. So
yeah.
And
go on, Alex.
I was just gonna say, and with the Shazam comparison, I almost feel like Shazam's almost like the version of this movie with kid gloves on. And I mean, it makes sense, because Shazam is a child, Billy Batson is a child, but like at the same time, like Black Adam's just like a whole nother step up, in my opinion.
But Black Adam and Shazam are also tied together because he's that extra member of the broken chair. So
Well, sort of. Black
Sort
Adam
of.
is just like a previous champion who was gifted these abilities by the wizard. Sort of, you'll see in this movie, but
but isn't he the but he was the broken chair though in Shazam though, wasn't he? Isn't that Black Adam's chair or no?
that's supposed to be sort of like the hint there, yeah.
Okay.
But yeah, I mean, it's just he's kind of more or less like the leftovers of an ancient era where the wizards basically just said, "Hey, let's give somebody this power." It ends up in the wrong hands, and then they're like, "Okay, let's seal him away and forget about him." And that's kind of the idea there.
Okay.
Yeah, so
I wonder
uh,
if we'll ever get Black Adam or Shazam at all.
I don't know. I mean, honestly, there's a great animated movie if anybody ever watches it. It's Black Adam and Shazam and Superman, all three like going at it, and Shazam and Superman fighting Black Adam together. It's a fantastic movie. They should totally make something like that live
Which
action.
which speaking of Superman, this is totally not Black Adam related. I haven't seen Black Adam, but Henry Cavill is confirmed back in the DC as Superman.
Mhm.
This is just DC in general, so that's great too. So, and it seems like The Rock has had a big influence on bringing Henry Cavill back to DC.
Mhm.
And I think going back to the conversation as that Alex started, and then Joran, you sort of mentioned it as well about quote unquote Marvel fans going to see or not going to see DC movies. I think for me personally, the what's stopped me from going to the cinema to watch DC movies is the complete lack of cohesion.
Mhm.
And I think and I think if it was a cohesive, there is a cohesive universe there to be had, isn't there? And it's almost like they're not embracing it. And it's like, if you embraced it, I think I would probably embrace it more as well. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, they kind of did for some movies like Batman, Wonder Woman, Superman. They kind of did, but then Shazam kind of was like over here to the side, but you had like the tease at the end, and now you have Black Adam. So yeah, you're right. That and then you kind of had Peacemaker kind of spin off from Suicide Squad, but Suicide Squad's not really tied to anything except for the end of Peacemaker. You got the cameo. So it's kind of like a hodgepodge. It's like if I started throwing shit at a wall, that's what
Whatever
the
it
DC,
sticks.
EU is right now.
And I think their biggest problem is for cohesion's sake, they try and make the cohesion based off of like the characters and not really like build
The
it off
stories.
of like events and stories.
Okay.
And so they'll do this thing where like DC will take like a lot of characters from certain things and have them pop up. Like in the Black Adam movie, Hardcore from Peacemaker is in
Mhm.
this movie.
Okay.
She didn't really need to be, in my opinion, but she's in this movie for like a minute and a half.
As herself.
Yeah, as herself.
Probably tied to
Like,
Waller.
Yeah. I
Yeah.
mean that like with Waller, and you're like, okay. Now she didn't really need to be in this movie, but like they made that link, and then they also put Waller in the movie. They could have just put Waller in the movie and not put her in there, but I mean, like, it didn't really matter that she was in there or not, you know? Like, it's one of those things like, hey, this is what we're doing, great, and then she leaves and she's gone. You don't ever see her again. Like,
Okay.
So do you think that this is the way that it's going then with this sort of, do you think that it will be more cohesive going forward?
I think so with Gunn in co-lead.
I think so. I hope that they don't trade like humor for depth in the DC universe. I don't want to see like Superman and Batman having dance offs and things like that, saying dance off, bro, like funny stuff. Like DC's kind of like dark. I want to see DC kind of stick in the same vein, but they need to figure out how to mesh stories together and build up to things, because like the Snyder Cut was just them trying to cram as much stuff in there as possible, in my opinion.
Yeah. Well,
So if we take cues from the Suicide Squad movies and from Peacemaker, I think that will kind of be the mix of the tone with Gunn co-leading this. I don't think he'll go to the Guardians tone. I think he'll stick with what worked with Suicide Squad and Peacemaker.
And I mean, he said, I think Gunn said after he made the deal with DC, he called like John Cena #2 was like his second phone call and told him, because he made Peacemaker with him. I loved Peacemaker, but why did we have the Justice League in Peacemaker? We didn't need the Justice League to show up for half of them to stand there and it's Superman, but it's not Henry Cavill. you know, like, yeah, they show Jason Momoa and I think Ezra Miller, I
Yep.
think, have like a
Yep.
brief like comment in the show, but we didn't need them. Like, you know, for them to be like, oh, we're here now, and Peacemaker to be like, F off. Like, you're no
That
help
was kind of
now.
funny though. Yeah, that was kind of
Yeah.
funny though. Actually.
Yeah, I mean, it's funny, but I mean, like, you just didn't need that's like, you just kind of like trashing the Justice League for comedy. And I'm like, you know, like,
And speaking of James Gunn, coming back to the whole hiring, he said, not only do I love Kevin Feige, he was the first person I told after I did the deal with DC. John Cena was second. Gunn wrote to fans, contrary to popular belief, $1 less for Marvel is not $1 more for DC.
Yeah, that's it.
DC and Marvel have the common goal of keeping the theater going experience vibrant and alive.
There you go.
So,
There you go. That actually the
Yep.
perfect way. I'm glad you saved that little bit because that just encapsulates everything that we've kind of just said, doesn't it?
Yep. So the very last piece of news, Hugh Jackman. He did talk about his return as Wolverine. I can't tell you I'm going to have a time of my life, or I can tell you I'm going to have a time of my life. I can tell you that I've started back at the gym and I'm eating a lot and I feel bad for the cast of Music Men. The amount of protein shakes I'm having, but it's a lot of fun. It's been 5 years and I really never thought I'd come back and I'm really, really excited about it. Actually, I do know a bit about the script, but I'm not going to tell you. Then he goes, there's no choice about his portrayal of Wolverine in this movie. He goes, there's no choice. He's definitely the angry and acerbic, grumpy, and he's going to take a lot of free shots at Ryan Reynolds. Let me tell you, physically that is. So it sounds like they're going to go at it.
Yeah.
So
This
Yeah.
is going to be one of those sort of, this is going to be funny. He's going to be like that grumpy old man, and Wade's just going to be like poking him. He's just going to keep poking him until he sort of stabs him in the head.
it's almost like they've kind of switched roles because, like, Deadpool 2, Ryan Reynolds was kind of the mentor to Russell, right? And so now that role switches to where Ryan Reynolds is the Russell character, and Hugh Jackman's the mentor that Deadpool was in that movie. So it's a nice switch on roles there.
Yeah, that's it. Yeah, I can just see him just consistently telling him to F off the whole time.
Or it also be said too, it could be the relationship between Deadpool and Colossus in those movies, but taken to a whole new level as well.
He'll be the reluctant partner, won't he? I think Logan. That's kind of the feeling I've got from this. He's this reluctant, like, fine, let's just go and get this done so I could go back home and relax. Like, just leave me alone. I didn't want to be here. You made me turn up. Now I'm here. Let's just do this job, and then I'm going to go home. You know?
I almost wonder, since we know that Logan's in the future past what this will be, that we'll see any of the events that killed the rest of the X-Men possibly in this film, and the way they could kind of wrap that up to kind of visualize that on screen.
Yeah.
Instead of just us knowing about what happened with the X-Men in Logan.
Yeah, interesting.
I mean, they gave us the perfect route with Deadpool 2, with Deadpool having that little time travel device. I mean, he could just go back and grab Wolverine, and they could do this like a time travel adventure road trip kind of type thing, and then pop out like in the MCU at the end of it and be like, you know, oh, well, like, how did we get here kind of type of thing. And yeah, you know, just have Deadpool make a joke.
This is nice.
Yeah.
But do you think that Hugh Jackman will stick around past this?
I don't know. I mean, I don't think he's maybe be like a 10-minute appearance in maybe some films or something. But like, I mean, I would personally like to see him come in like a Secret Wars thing, be in the movie, and then have like Kang just obliterate him right off the bat and him be First Blood. And see Deadpool make a joke like, no, this will not be my last movie with Hugh Jackman, you know, like flip out. And like, I don't know. I just think that would be, you almost have to, you can't kill him off, I feel like, because the death in Logan was so powerful that like, if you kill him off, you almost have to step it up beyond that. And the only way I think that you could do that would be him dying like Kang's hand.
Yeah,
So,
unless at the end that Deadpool pops out in the MCU and he kind of leaves Logan behind. You know, type of thing. Without having to kill him.
Yeah.
And have you seen Zac Efron as Iron Claw? Just saying. He's huge. He's put on loads of weight. Just saying.
I'm up for it. In fact, they could make Zac Efron Johnny Storm. You know, he could carry. You know, he could carry Johnny Storm in the MCU, being what he's done. You know, look at Neighbors, look at that awkward moment. You know, just look at the stuff he's done. He definitely could pull off Johnny Storm as well.
Yeah,
Definitely.
yeah. Yeah.
That's it.
Oh
That's,
my god.
2 weeks. 2 weeks of news. 2 trailers. 2 hours, and we're done.
That was immense. That was immense. It's been good fun though. It's been good fun. We've got through a lot. 2 hours has gone like that.
Yeah.
Yeah, fantastic. And as we said at the top of the show, we are back on Tuesday, and we've got Martin Flanagan coming in, the old Marvel professor. We're going to be talking about the developed idea of the genres within the superhero genre. We've spoken about it a little bit with Martin before, but I think the landscape has changed hugely now since the last time we spoke. You know, with Moon Knight, with Miss Marvel, with She-Hulk, you know, with Werewolf by Night, we've had such a different set of projects that I think it deserves a little bit more attention. So that's what we're going to be doing on Tuesday, 10 p.m. GMT, 5 p.m.
CST
Central Time. Yeah. Work out the other times if you're around that. Yeah, be great.
There should be no news on Tuesday unless something big drops between now and Tuesday. So we're caught up.
Excellent. Looking good. All right then, guys. Well, it's been an absolute pleasure. Thank you. Roxy's been quite live.
So next Sunday should be our preview of Wakanda Forever.
It will be.
Okay.
It will be. And fingers crossed, I'll have some news to share from the red carpet on Thursday.
Get those hard questions prepared and try and blindside somebody, you know.
Really quick. Should I just go with a notepad? I'll go with a notepad.
Just as soon as you I was just
Go
gonna say,
ahead.
as soon as you see somebody, just start yelling out questions, like reading off the notepad.
See if you can get Tena Querta to give my wife a shout out.
Okay, we'll do. We'll do.
She's all excited to see him in this role. So,
Okay, I'll do my best.
all right.
All right, take care, guys. Take care.
Bye.
Have a
Take
good
care.
one.
Why don't you tell them about the time we faced?
All right. Well, as